Hello, I'm Kyle.
And I'm Trevor, and today Kyle will be catching up on cinema. So today, I got to pick the film. I had Kyle, well, it sounds like I forced Kyle, to watch 1992's Diggstown.
Yes.
In summary, Diggstown is a heist film of sorts. It's a con movie. It's about a con man who comes to a small town in the South and runs a hustle around a 24-hour multi-man boxing competition. It's a Herculean feat that should not be physically possible.
Nope.
Stars James Woods matching wits against Bruce Dern at his slimiest.
Oh, yes.
So, Kyle, what was your first impression of Diggstown, being a first-time viewer?
Well, first of all, I just want to say that I did not want to watch this. I very much do not like James Woods.
I know. I'm sorry I picked the movie, but I knew that going in, folks.
Even though his character is I'm going to argue, an absolute piece of shit.
Oh, no doubt.
More so than his character in Casino, Lester. I will argue.
What about in Any Given Sunday? How would you rank his sliminess?
It goes Diggstown, and then it goes it goes Casino, and then Any Given Sunday. But there's a huge drop off between Diggstown and yeah.
So this was him at his very worst. You say?
I think this is his absolute scummiest character I've seen so far.
His name is Gabriel Kane.
I was gonna say, remember Arnold's name in End of Days? His is Jericho Kane.
Jericho Kane.
Jericho Kane, and then this is
This is my younger brother Gabriel.
Well, they're both biblical.
We're from Alabama. We have roots in the bayou, Louisiana.
Listen here, you Austrian fuck. I am not from Alabama. Okay?
And James Woods from the South.
Honestly, just who would be more rolling their eyes and just not wanting a conversation? Him or who's the other guy I can't stand?
Dennis Leary at times.
Oh no.
Dennis Miller, the Dennises.
The Dennises. I can handle Dennis Leary better than I can. No, strike that. Reverse that. Robert California. James Spader. Jesus.
James Woods and James Spader's matching wits would
it would make somebody would just stand up in the restaurant and be like, dude, just shut the fuck up. My God.
I've never seen two hetero men so catty in my life.
You haven't said something that wasn't sarcasm the whole fucking conversation.
Where's your sincerity, sir? For the love of God!
Say something for real, goddammit!
Stop talking in circles!
Quit rolling your fucking eyes. God!
Yeah, I'm sure one of them would get their eyes just lodged in the back of their head.
The server's nose would just start bleeding. I can't even handle you fucking guys right now. Jesus.
Well, between James Woods' smoking and James Spader's it's just be the most obnoxious smoke-filled room you've ever been in. Just filled with hot air and smoke.
And you wouldn't even ask him to put it out. He would just he would say something snarky and sarcastic, and then James would be like, "Oh," and then it would just be back and forth. Yeah, I think that's why I don't like them. They're just smart asses. But anyway, I think I dislike James Woods more than James Spader.
See, for me, I know James Woods is not a good person.
Yeah. Well, allegedly, he's probably not.
I mean, he's done things in recent years that have put him on a lot of people's shit lists. I, for one, oftentimes, maybe this is a detriment to my character. I don't know, but a lot of times I put some distance between the actor and their performance.
Okay.
So I'm not a lot of people hate on Tom Cruise and stuff.
Oh, I love Tom Cruise.
I love him. Me, it's what ends up on the screen, just fine.
Dude,
I like it.
I couldn't give a shit less about what he does.
Yeah, I don't give a shit what he does with his life, but we're entering into an age where there's a lot more transparency.
But he has a presence that I enjoy. James Woods has a presence I don't enjoy. I actually have come around. James
Woods. I think his verbal gymnastics, his ability to do the motor mouth thing that so many directors absolutely need from certain actors.
Yeah.
Like Tarantino, for instance. There are certain people on this planet who are perfect for speaking his dialogue, because it requires a speed and a rhythm.
His name is Samuel L. Jackson.
Samuel L. Jackson, you're like, shit. Tarantino, if he got his hands on Dan Aykroyd, I bet could do a lot of damage.
I could not imagine Dan Aykroyd in a Tarantino.
Or the Micro Machines guy, John Machida or whatever. But yeah, to me, James Woods, I know he's never supposed to be likable. He's just that New York sass.
I like Spader and Stargate. That was fun.
Well, that's him playing against type.
Yeah.
Like he's like Wall Street, for instance. Like that's more him. I mean, even though he's like less of a prick in that one, but he's usually man in suit who is a prick. That's what he does really well. And same with James Woods. It's like if you need a guy to chain smoke and be an asshole and talk circles around everyone in the room, he's who you get.
See, Trevor also tricked me by saying, well, I didn't want to watch this because it's got James Woods in it. He's like, but it's got Oliver Platt in it.
Yes.
And he knows.
I baited your ass.
I love Oliver Platt. Name a movie that has him in it, and he tell me he's not, if not the best part, one of the most memorable parts from the movie.
Oh, easily.
I love him. I love him in everything I've ever seen him in. This is actually the first movie where I was actually kind of like, oh, there's really not as much Oliver Platt as I thought there'd be.
Yeah.
He's strong in the beginning, and then he kind of dips off.
Yeah, he's introduced early in the movie. He has some really strong scenes, and then he becomes a lesser element towards the end. It's a bit of a disappointment.
But I feel like that happens with a lot of people. I forget there's a fucking boxing match coming up. Oh yeah, there's a fucking boxing match. I forgot. They're just betting. But anyway, so do you wanna give us the rundown, the quick rundown?
No, I already gave a little bit of a summary, but let's start the progression.
Okay.
So our movie starts off in a prison.
So it starts off in the prison, and we've already gone through Undisputed 2. We are back in prison and fighting.
Another prison fighting movie. Funny that.
Jesus, Trevor. Again? So, as I'm watching this, I was taking down just like... There's a lot of character actors, and I'm going to go ahead and say his name right now. I was super excited when I saw him, because I just thought gross point blank. Benny Urquidez? Urquidez.
Yes.
I saw him as a ref. I'm like, oh, Jim!
That's
My
the guy.
only non-Dan Aykroyd favorite part of the movie is that fight scene between him and John
mirror in
Cusack.
the bathroom, man.
Oh, it's so fun.
That scene is great.
It's really good.
I love the shootout in the convenience store too. No, Benny Urquidez. For the folks at home who may not know who that is, he's a very short Hispanic Native American man. One of the greatest American kickboxers in the history of the sport.
He has a very unique face. It's very...
Well, you can tell he's native because he has the bone structure.
Yeah.
I think like Blackfoot was the tribe.
Oh, really?
So Benny Urquidez was a kickboxer, very, very excellent athlete, excellent martial artist. He's actually one half of what was, I don't think anymore, but at one point in time, the greatest martial arts sequence in cinema history. A lot of people regarded Jackie Chan and Benny Urquidez in Wheels on Meals.
Ooh, interesting.
From 1982.
I've never seen that. Wheels on Wheels?
Wheels on Meals.
Wheels on Meals.
Funny story about the title is that the producers were superstitious, the Hong Kong producers. And all movies that had started with the title with a M word that year had failed. Oh, interesting. So they took Meals on Wheels and turned it into Wheels on Meals.
That is one of the greatest martial arts scenes.
One of the greatest of all time. It's a fantastic sequence choreographed by Sammo Hung, who's also in the movie. It's one of the Three Musketeers movies, meaning Jackie Chan, Yuen Biao. Yeah, Kyle is a huge fan of the Disney Musketeers movie.
Oliver Platt, Charlie Sheen.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in ages. I can't speak to its quality, but Kyle is just obsessed with this movie.
I love it. It's so good.
I do remember thinking Oliver Platt was hilarious.
He's great. He's so good in that movie.
But yeah, anyway. Benny Urquidez and Jackie Chan.
And Tim Curry. What are we talking about?
Oh, and your boy from... I always forget his name. But you wanted him to be the Joker at one point?
Oh, Michael Wincott.
Michael Wincott. He has a field day with that role.
Whoever, if anybody important is listening to this, you should not have cast Joaquin Phoenix to play the Joker. You needed... Actually, he would have to be... Michael Wincott's so old now and such a smoker that you'd have to do, instead of a Joker Origins, it'd be like Joker in prison or
Joker in his twilight years.
Joker in Arkham, just like...
Grandpa Joker.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna hit the Batman.
How does he not have a hole in his throat yet? Anyway.
I'm amazed. But yeah, Benny Urquidez was really famous for that scene. He did another movie with Jackie Chan like a couple years later called Dragons Forever. They had a rematch because that first match was so good. So he was a legit martial artist that became a screen actor. Well, not an actor.
Yeah, he doesn't talk ever.
Yeah, he threw kicks and he did it really well. Anyway. After that, though, he started to develop a presence in American film productions, mostly as a choreographer. And this will put a smile on your face. If I remember correctly, he was credited as the choreographer for Street Fighter, the movie.
Interesting. I still have not seen that.
Truthfully, I don't think of him as all that good a choreographer. A lot of his movies, like this one in particular, Diggstown, I didn't think the choreography was all that good. It's generic barroom brawl kind of stuff. There's very little technique or drama in it. But in this movie, he plays the referee.
Yeah,
he sticks out like a sore thumb because he's got that fucking bone structure.
Yeah, he just has a really unique face.
He's got that bone structure, and you can tell he's been punched 50,000 times. He's super jacked and tiny.
He's like 5'4", but he's a little.
And he has a really distinctive count in the movie, which you hear 1,000 times.
Oh yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you hear it every 5 minutes in this movie.
So as the movie's going through, I'm kind of picking up on character actors. The guy who's fighting in the beginning, Randall Tex Cobb.
That's right.
I have him down as asshole from Ace Ventura, because remember, warning, assholes are closer than they appear. I remember that.
I remember him from Ernest Goes to Jail.
I've never seen that one.
Oh, I love that. That's my favorite Ernest movie.
And then the warden, Quado from Total Recall.
Yes.
He's
Quado. Yeah.
He's so funny. Like, I don't know what it is. I remember watching Total Recall and being like, it's just so. He's from Airheads. Do you remember? He's the.
He pops up in the funniest of places. He's always welcome.
He's just so.
He's got that goofy hair.
Yeah, he's just so charismatic. Like, just the way he talks is funny. He's kind of like Walton Goggins. Yeah.
Yeah, even he's got the goofy hair. This guy, I don't even know his name, but apparently him and Paul Verhoeven hit it off because he's also in Starship Troopers, and he steals some scenes because he's just a shell-shocked colonel that miraculously survived a bug attack. And he's just screaming and raving for like his few minutes of screen time, and it's pretty fucking hilarious.
I think he was on the X-Files. I think I saw him on the X-Files as somebody. He was trying to be serious. I'm just like, I can't take him seriously.
Yeah, he just makes me smile.
Yeah, he just makes me smile.
Yeah, he's the warden of the prison. So the first scene that we're introduced to is Randall Tex Cobb doing some just taped hands, like freestyle fighting. Like he throws a kick at one point, so this is not boxing.
No.
Randall Tex Cobb was a pro boxer at one point.
He's my second favorite Randall Cobb. My number one favorite Randall Cobb is the wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers.
Gotcha.
Yes.
That's why the Tex is important whenever we address him.
Yes.
Yeah, he's having a somewhat organized prison brawl with a Hispanic fellow.
Yes.
Minoso Torres is the name of the character.
Put a pin in him.
Yeah. It's like, for those of you who care about screenwriting, remember the name.
Remember the name.
So we keep cutting back and forth between Tex Cobb getting his face bashed in, and it is not a pretty face to begin with.
I was going to say, it doesn't look much different than
I don't think they did any makeup on it.
You have a black eye, or just always that way?
It's like, hey, how about you try to shave this morning with this rusty blade?
So, James Woods is more or less a prison bookie, if I can. Yeah. He's sending a really, really skinny guy to escape from prison with $10,000 in his pocket.
Yes.
I'm going to be honest with you. I was paying attention to this movie, and I lost what was happening several times.
Well.
I didn't understand why he did this. The warden definitely brings it up. I do like that scene with the warden where he just...
No, we'll get there.
But yeah, he sends this dude out with $10,000, and then next thing we know, James Woods is sitting in front of the warden like, hey, you're getting out in fucking 2 days, but somebody escaped, and only 5 people have only escaped from here, 4 of them happened when you got here, kind of deal.
So yeah, James Woods is running a racket in the prison right before he's released. So he has this meeting with the warden because of the recent escape. Yeah. And the warden they're doing that double speak thing where you can tell that there's a lot of things not being said right now. Yeah. So the warden is onto him. He knows that James Woods is responsible for the escapes, but he can't prove it, so he can't really do anything. Plus, he's already in fucking prison. Yeah. And during this conversation, Kyle pointed out a detail with his hands just now. the warden is playing around with a like nickel-plated revolver, and there's this funny little moment where he like pulls the trigger at James Woods, and nothing happens, and then just offhand he pulls the trigger again, and a round discharges and hits the wall right by his ear,
a centimeter away, like from hitting James Woods.
And the warden's reaction is just to give like a oh.
Well, because he mentioned, I didn't know you were shooting blanks. He's like, oh. He's like, I guess I'm not shooting blanks, huh? Weird.
It's a fun little moment, and it's kind of neat seeing a character like James Woods put in his place like that.
So this is one of the problems I had throughout the movie, and I think it's the Ninth Gate. Have you ever seen the Ninth Gate?
You've brought it up before. I have, but I don't remember anything except for the outdoor fucking at the end.
Yes.
Because I was like 13, and that's the only thing my brain recalls.
That might be one that we might have. That might actually be your next one. Oh. That's actually probably going to be the next one because I think it's on Prime right now. So
I've seen it though,
but you don't remember it.
I remember the fucking.
Then that's not enough. But no,
God damn it.
Because it's a fun movie. It's a lot of fun, but the soundtrack is infuriating.
Oh,
because
I remember the choir during that scene.
No.
Oh.
The music that's happening, is it diegetic? Is that when it's not being heard by the character?
Non-diegetic.
Non-diegetic. The non-diegetic music that's happening in the film does not match the tone of the film. And that's the big thing that I had a problem with in this movie was the tone is not set by the music's happening, but there's a different movie going on. Or at least they're trying to tell us that there's a different movie going on. And this was one of those scenes where it was like he almost just shot his face off, and James Woods is just like, oh.
James Newton Howard did the music in this movie.
I recognized the name, and I knew you were going to bring that up.
James Newton Howard, most famous, I think, nowadays for doing one half of the Dark Knight movies music.
Oh, really?
Well, Batman Begins and The Dark Knight were a collaboration between him and Hans Zimmer.
Okay.
So for people who only credit Hans Zimmer for that, stop it. That's not fair. He's a very talented composer. He's done some great fucking shit.
I'm not saying he's not good. I'm just saying we'll keep
Waterworld, actually. As much as people hate on that movie, terrific fucking score. But his music in this movie sounds a little cheap. Mm-hmm. It sounds a little chintzy. And it has that like southern vibe to it that's like taken to an extreme to the point that it gets a little obnoxious. There's a little too much harmonica for my taste.
The whole time I feel like it was just a Kurt Russell movie.
It's actually kind of reminds me of the score of Tremors a little bit, to be honest.
Actually, it does. It does remind me a lot of Tremors. Yeah. That's the tone that it's got more of a Tremors tone.
Yeah, the whole movie's kind of winking at you. Like, even in its serious moments, it's not that serious.
Exactly. But it gets very serious.
Yeah, there's some serious shit that happens later in the movie.
I was so mad.
So, before James Woods is released from prison, he meets Oliver Platt.
Yes.
And they have a little meet-up in the yard, and they're playing cards.
Yep.
And
chit-chat.
Yeah, they're having some banter back and forth, and it's casually mentioned that James Woods has raised quite a bit of money while he's been in prison.
Yeah, somehow.
And they're speaking in hushed tones about some sort of scheme that they have planned.
Yes.
Which Oliver Platt is being sent away to get the ball rolling on.
Yes, he is.
Before James Woods gets out of prison. Which brings us to, well, James Woods getting a blowjob, but...
oh, yeah, getting the finger on his way out.
Yeah, that's just a minor detail.
Yeah,
no sense going into detail.
He wrote that. He put that in there. I think it'll be really good for my character.
hey, you guys, know it would be really good for this?
I'm gonna be in this convertible, I just got out of prison.
You should put a blowjob in there.
I should probably blow me on the way out. I think my character would like that.
I think it would really benefit the script.
I'm gonna go method on that.
So that brings us to Oliver Platt heading off to Diggstown.
Yes. So Oliver Platt, I don't know what the fuck these townies were doing.
The townies.
They're like, you're that dude, huh? Well, we want to play cards with you. He's like, no, I'm going to take all your fucking money.
It's explained a little bit. They have a plant in the town who looks kind of like Richard Dreyfuss's kid or something.
Yes. Oh, so he's been talking him up the whole time.
Yeah, it's not really, it doesn't jump out at you. I only noticed it this time because I had these subtitles on this time. Mm-hmm. When Oliver Platt first walks into the bar, Richard Dreyfuss Jr. Notices him. and they kind of signal each other.
I'm gonna say he looks like Marty McFly in Back to the Future.
He looks like one of the people from the future because he has the reflective baseball cap.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. I mean, well, 92. You know, it was the style at the time.
Pretty close.
But yeah, they kind of give each other the high sign, and Richard Dreyfuss Jr. says, "Oh, I'll introduce you to the boys."
Yeah.
And Oliver Platt rolls into this bar, and the boys are there. And they got a card game going.
The boys want to play.
But yeah, Oliver Platt's introduction to them I thought was pretty fucking hilarious.
He's like, I don't want to fucking do it.
He's like, I don't want to. It's like, if you guys want to lose all your money.
And if a townie says, sit your ass down, you're like, I better just sit my ass down because I don't need dental work. Because somebody's going to fight me. God damn it. That's the first thing. Don't go into a townie bar. If you're in a small town and you go into the bar, nobody wants you there.
Yeah,
you don't want to be there.
Especially don't roll up in a souped up truck.
Unless you're Steven Seagal, there's no reason for you to ever be in a townie bar.
Unless you're Steven Seagal looking for somebody.
Looking for somebody or just passing through.
Or just passing through or, defending the honor of the native people.
I was going to say defending the honor of the native people. It's exactly what I was just thinking.
I mean, you got to go to every bar to do that.
Just got to break somebody's finger today. Might as well be you.
I just need time. I need time to change.
Bruce Dern. So we're getting introduced to Oliver Platt. Meanwhile, we're getting introduced to Bruce Dern,
Robert Guillaume.
He's one of my favorite character actors as well. I was like,
fabulous.
He's him in The Burbs. He's so funny in The Burbs.
Marvelous. He's a gift from on high.
I think he has a crush on his son. That's all I can think of.
Hey, I'm all for I'm all for developing what if subplots. So I can actually see it.
He kind of has the hots for his son.
A little bit. A little bit.
I mean, he's a good-looking kid. Don't get me wrong.
You're next, Robbie.
He's just like
you're next.
He's like, you need to be looking.
You gotta be looking good. You gotta show your handsome face around town.
So he get the fucking car. When I saw the car, I'm like, dude, he is trying to fuck you. Like, nobody gives anybody that kind of car unless And he later mentions like, oh, his car's about $25,000. I'm like, that car's not $25,000. That car's way more expensive.
That was what, a 60-something Corvette?
I feel like that's the car that Cameron and Ferris knocked out of his dad's garage. It looks just like it.
Yeah.
I'm like Bruce Dern's trying to fuck his son.
So a little bit of setup. Robert Guillaume, Bruce Dern's character. He is the slimiest motherfucker you'll ever meet, and he is just relishing this role.
Yes.
He's a big part of the reason. He's like a huge reason why I like this movie, actually. Yeah. It has a lot of problems.
There's a lot of problems, yes.
But him and James Woods butting heads and matching cock sizes and stuff is really enjoyable, to me anyway. And he's putting his body language into it. He's got that Weasley sneer.
He does have that Weasley sneer.
He's showing off them teeth.
He knows it.
So Guillaume is basically the owner of all of Diggstown.
He owns all of Diggstown.
Yeah,
yes.
And we can tell this even without getting a background in him right from the get-go, because he walks into a fucking arena, a closed arena, and he literally walks in like he owns the place, because he does.
He does. He literally owns it.
And yeah, he's having a talk with his son. They're talking a little bit of shop about boxing. So there's a hint that there's going to be some fisticuffs later.
Where they start upstairs, it looked like the bar from Blood Simple.
That's on the watch list for me. I haven't actually seen it.
Oh. Interesting.
Ooh.
That is interesting. Okay.
Fascinating.
Because I just fascinating. I just watched that recently for the first time. Not my favorite Coen Brothers movie, but still good. But yeah, so it looked like the bar from Blood Simple a little bit. But as they get downstairs, he owns this big gym, like just small town, old gym.
Big by small town standards.
It's a big gym, but it's like think old. Like small town old gym built in like 1910 that they've just kept up for a really long time. It
looks like the gym from Hoosiers or something.
Yeah, it really does.
So yeah, he turns on the lights in this arena and there's some sort of hot rod planted there, and he's handing it over to his very young teenage son named Robbie Guillaume.
Yeah.
And he keeps using, there's an emphasis on, you're next, Robbie, you're next.
Basically, he's saying, like, I run this town, now I'm going to pass it off to my son who's barely graduated high school by the looks of him.
So this is going on while Oliver Platt is playing cards.
He is cleaning these townies out right now.
Oh yeah, and he's getting drunk.
And he is. Yeah, I have Oliver Platt beer pitcher chug, which I just love. He's just drinking.
You think he went method on that?
I hope so.
I mean, his head it's
huge, but that's.
I mean, he could store that in like his cheek pockets like a hamster.
Camel.
It doesn't hit the bloodstream
It's
until
like
10 hours later.
It's in his back. He just kind of does a flex, and he's like, "Oh, there we go." Got it. Thirsty. He's sweating profusely. This. He's so sweaty. He ends up winning all the card games. Then he makes another bet. Then they're playing pool. They just kind of goes to him shooting pool, and then the kid Robbie. They go for slips. They go for pink slips.
Yeah, Robbie makes his way over to the bar, and he joins in on this gambling that's going on.
Yeah.
And Oliver Platt is thoroughly trashed at this point. At least
Hammered.
that's what the townies think.
Yeah.
How many pitchers? It was like double digits.
Well, he was drinking while they were playing cards, and then this is after the cards. He's just drinking beer from the pitcher. And this is a dark beer, so most of your American lagers are going to be about 4.5 to 5% alcohol. This is a dark beer. I'm going to say this is about 6% alcohol.
So how many times did he piss his pants, you think?
I don't know. I hope he went method on this because that would have been really funny.
Be like that Saturday Night Live Dom DeLuise skit.
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. That's really funny.
But yeah, so the gambling escalates to the point that we're done with cards and now we've moved on to pool.
Now we're just talking shit. Yeah. But go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah,
I was gonna say after pool.
So now, again, this fucking masculinity theme is in every fucking movie we watch.
Yeah.
So Robbie gets baited into a bet.
Yes. For
They're-
slips.
Yeah. They decide to gamble for slips, and just so happens Oliver Platt rode into town in a fancy new truck.
Yep.
It looks hideous, but apparently it's expensive.
I think it's a dually 6-wheeler.
It's got like a crazy light rig on it and stuff. It's a monster. It's a monstrosity.
I think the son-in-law with Pauly Shore. I think they have a truck just a different color. I think it was just a popular model in the early '90s.
Yeah, it must have been a thing because to me it's like, why would you want that? But maybe it was expensive. So Oliver Platt gets wise to the fact that Robbie has a very nice brand new hot rod out front. Mm-hmm. So yeah, they decide to gamble for slips, and the way they do this is I think they're trying to clear the table.
Yeah, the quickest to clear the table in numerical or...
I don't know if there's an order, but it's basically just clear the table. I would think like numerical order.
Yeah, something like that.
So Robbie goes first, and he gets a good time.
Yeah.
And then Oliver Platt, of course, beats him.
Yeah.
And now Robbie's out of car.
Yeah.
And it's funny because we get this funny little shot of Richard Dreyfuss Jr. just like running out of the bar, like holding his hat in one hand
to go tell Dern, yeah.
Like doing a Flintstones run or a Scooby-Doo run across the street. He's like, Mr. Guillaume, your son just lost that beautiful new car you gave him.
Yeah, so now he's just kind of talking shit, and now
that's a great scene actually.
He's just talking shit about again Wilhelm von Homburg in a painting.
Oh yeah,
because he did it in Ghostbusters 2, and this is the second time that he's been in a painting. Is he just such a piece of shit that they don't want him in the movie? Like, just make a fucking painting. Like, God damn it, just get him off here.
Well, he shows up later in the movie. But
you read the article, didn't you?
I read this article years ago. I think most people that are into film did.
Yeah.
This was a Deadspin article from a few years ago about the gentleman who played Vigo the Carpathian. He was also one of the robbers from Die Hard.
I liked him in Die Hard.
He was the thick guy. He was the chunky guy with the ponytail.
Screaming at the dude in German.
Yeah, yeah, I see him.
No, he's the one in the elevator. He's just like...
No, he gets the monitor bomb.
Get the fucking thing on here. Yeah.
Yeah. Los, McLinks. Los.
Oh, weiter.
Yeah. So this gentleman's name is Norbert Gruppe, I believe, or Group.
Yeah.
There's this big long article on Deadspin that came out years ago that basically just reveals him or outs him, I guess, as one of the worst human beings to ever live.
He's a piece of shit.
Anyway, he plays. Was it James Makeham Diggs or? I forget the first name.
Oh. Something like that.
But yeah, point is the town is named after this gentleman.
Yeah,
and
Diggstown.
That's who the painting is of.
Yes,
it's a painting of a heavyweight boxer, Charles Macomb Diggs.
And actually, Trevor has a very similar has a boxing poster up on his kitchen. He very much has the old timey pants and the boots. That's what
you can tell he was from probably the 1950s.
Yeah,
because he had the shorts. He had conventional gloves. Like the thing that Kyle's talking about that I have in my kitchen is actually John L. Sullivan, who was a bare knuckle guy. So Charles Macomb Diggs was of the modern era.
Yeah.
So, and he's still alive when the movie's taking place. So what happens is Oliver Platt, in his shit talk about the townies, I think the line he uses is like, I didn't want this. Like, I didn't ask to play. You guys baited me into this. Yeah. Like, it's like, you know why? Because I told you I was gonna win.
Yeah, he told him. So
he's right. But at some point, the shit talk starts to turn to the painting behind him.
Now, I think that it should be very clear that Bruce Dern is probably the most degenerate gambler I've ever seen in any movie. Like, he's literally like, how much do you want to bet that coffee's hot? Like, I'll bet you $50 it's not that hot. Like, anything. If he sees it, I feel like he's making a bet on it. And that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah. So what's happening here is Oliver Platt is talking shit about this Charles Macomb Diggs, this painting behind him, and the townies get pretty upset with him to the point that one of them actually like gives him a shot to the gut.
Yeah, which is super stupid for him to do. It's just kind of weird.
And then this townie that knocks him down mentions that, like, oh, I've seen Charles Macomb Diggs take out as many as 5 people in one night. Mm-hmm. It's like, do you know anyone who could best that? And Oliver Platt, still on his knees, says, Honey Roy Palmer, played by Lou Gossett Jr.
Yes,
has not been introduced into the film just yet.
Nope.
But this is what gets things rolling.
Gets the ball rolling.
So it just so happens that by now James Woods has rolled into town, and we get a fun little exchange between him and Bruce Dern.
Yeah.
Where they're watching boxing together.
Yeah.
And James Woods rolls into town with exactly the same model of car that Bruce Dern has. Well, with a little caveat.
Yeah.
It's like the 300 versus... it's like the 300S versus the 300 version or something.
And he's like, I went cheaper so I could buy myself some socks. That's what Dern says.
Yeah. So James Woods is posted up in town, has not made contact with Oliver Platt, so nobody's aware of the scheme, the con that's going on just yet. So James Woods is watching boxing, and he and Bruce Dern get into it. Mm-hmm. And you can tell they're whipping out their cocks. They're measuring.
Well, because Dern has the dude throw the fight because they make a bet on it.
Yeah, they make a bet. So what James Woods does is he baits Mr. Dern into engaging in a bet with him. And this is intentional. Yeah. So he's watching a boxing contest, and offhand he mentions it's like, oh, I could tell who's going to win anyway. And
this is a matinee boxing match.
Yeah, I know. It's like casual boxing.
They have boxing matches they must have a movie theater. I think they have boxing matches for movies. It's like, oh, what's playing at 1? Oh, those 2 idiots from the farm down the road. Like, all right, let's go watch them beat the shit out of each other. Yeah. So
James Woods on his way out says like, oh, sure, you can have my seat, Mr. Guillaume, who apparently owns this whole town. Mm-hmm. I already knew who was going to win anyway. To which Bruce Dern stands up and says, like, well, are you sure about that? You want to bet on that?
Yeah.
And as it so happens, Bruce Dern commands enough power in the town that he can just give someone a whistle. He straightens his tie, gives him the thumbs down, the Joaquin Phoenix thumbs down. And that gentleman takes a fall.
Yes.
Which results in James Woods losing a couple $1,000s and maybe a little bit of pride, but this was intentional because he's going for the long con.
Yeah.
So now all the principal characters have met each other, which brings us to Oliver Platt and his dropping of the name Honey Roy Palmer.
Yeah.
Turns out, as a result of Robbie losing the car and Richard Dreyfuss Jr. heading across the street to tell Papa.
Yeah. RDJ.
Bruce Dern's in the room for this.
Yes.
And as Kyle said, he's a betting man that will take any bet.
He's so fucking hard. Like he just want like if he sniffs out a bet, he's like, oh, you wanna do a little bet, huh? So they end up betting that Lou Gossett Jr. will beat 10 dudes from Clark County, from wherever they're at.
Oliver County. So
they bet that he will beat all 10 of them
In 24 hours.
In 24 hours.
10 men from the county in 24 hours.
James Woods is sitting in the back of the diner the back of the bar this whole time, and basically gets it set in stone. Like, all right, this is gonna happen.
Yeah, he says, "I will back Oliver Platt," and this is him pretending he doesn't know him.
Yeah,
which is inconsequential. Like 10 minutes from now,
because they know
for the time being, they're pretending they don't know each other.
Yeah, but they don't even know if he's gonna do it. Like,
yeah, it's revealed in the next scene when we get hungover Oliver Platt.
I actually wrote this down. Hungover Oliver Platt. Now, I've had some really bad hangovers before, like where you wake up and you forgot to drink water or you forgot to eat or something, and your head is just throbbing because you're dehydrated and you're kind of dizzy because you haven't eaten. But Oliver Platt was tying one off, and he was tying one off with beer, so he's pretty dehydrated, I'd say. So he has a shower cap full of ice water,
I think so,
on top of his head. And I wrote down, I'm like, I'm curious about Oliver Platt's hangover cure here, because he's got it looks like Milox or some kind of milk of magnesia,
something. Yeah.
And I don't know if he's sweating or if that's water.
I think that's sweat.
That's a good way to go about it. That's a good way to sweat it out. But maybe he's got hot water in there.
I think he's just a sweaty dude.
He's in pain. He throws up. Like he really drank hard that night.
Oh yeah. And James Woods is relentless. He's just I forget some of the examples, but like he was just throwing out the names of like the most hideous food combinations you could imagine. Like it was like Spam and like pudding or something.
It was like Chet from Weird Science. He's like, how would you like a nice greasy pork sandwich served in a dirty ashtray?
Exactly. And so he's taunting him through the bathroom door as he's spewing. So during this scene, though, what exacerbates the hangover is it's revealed that Honey Roy Palmer has not been told of the con just yet. So James Woods has initiated this con. Very high stakes at this point. I think it's like, what, $100,000 or something?
Yeah, it's like $100,000. It's very important to point out that Bruce Dern has a cop with him at all times. So it's very clear. Not only does he run the town, he has the police. Like,
yeah, he's got like a cop, a judge, and a banker with him at all times.
He literally does.
Yeah,
he owns a town. Like he legit like owns everybody in this town essentially.
It's like, remember the gangsters from Batman Begins? There you go.
I mean, this is taking place in Texas, and I actually have a note over here. We'll get to that.
Okay. So yeah, now James Woods, with this very high stakes con on the line, needs to recruit. Needs to convince Honey Roy Palmer, who is apparently an associate of his from the past. Obviously, he's been in prison for a while.
He's been going legit.
Yeah. So he rolls up on Lou Gossett Jr., who is now teaching kids boxing at a gym, like a Y or something, a YMCA or something.
Who's the guy from Allstate? That's Allstate, Stan.
Oh, I don't know. I call him President Allstate because he was the president in 24.
It took Lou Gossett Jr. more convincing than that guy in Heat. Like, literally.
Yeah.
Hey, I saw you one time. Do you remember me? Hey, why don't you drive a getaway car for us?
How about you come get shot for me?
Jesus.
Yeah, that was a stretch.
Yeah.
I know you have your issues with that movie. That's one that I won't fight you on, because that was pretty stupid.
Well, we might have to do Prometheus versus Heat, because I think that might be legit. We're going to have to do Prometheus
that might have to happen. Yeah, Lou Gossett Jr., James Woods does some sneaky dropping of like, oh, this is a nice apartment. Not really.
Yeah.
And they actually do some cute things with like the sound design where you can hear like the traffic like clear as day through the fucking walls.
Yeah, he's doing I'll give it to him. Like, he's doing a good job. Like, he's legit trying to seem like he's not doing anything.
Yeah, he's there pretending that he's just there as a friend, but
it feels sincere.
Yeah, he has dinner with him and his wife.
Yeah,
and he says like, we're not going to talk any business.
Not talking business. And
then Lou Gossett Jr. starts to see the dollar signs and gets wise to the fact that there is a con running.
Well, he calls. Who does he call? But he finds out, basically.
Yeah, they have a call in the middle of the night that gets it gets the wheels turning in Lou Gossett Jr.'s head, and he has a really cute line where he gets out of bed at like 3 a.m, and his wife's like, "Who the hell are you calling at 3 a.m.?"
People who are up at 3 a.m.
Yeah, he's just like
people
who are up at this hour. It's like it's a very meek husband line where it's just like, I don't know, but I feel bad.
Somebody who's up.
Yeah.
It's important that we go back to Randall Tex Cobb. Because James Woods is going back to his hometown.
Yes.
So, Tex Cobb, this scene actually kind of got me.
Oh, you got the feels?
I got the feelies for it. So Tex is getting out in like 2 weeks, and we don't know this quite yet. But he's like, "Hey, you're going back to the hometown, right?" He's like, "Yeah, I'm going." James Woods like, "Yeah, I'm going back there." He's like, Will you go say hi to my dogs for me? And he's like, "What? You're gonna be out in 2 weeks? Like, what? You can't save them yourself? I really need you to go say hi to him. Here, take this shirt." He's like, "It smells like me."
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're supposed to think like, God, this guy's kind of a dipshit. Like, but when he said it, I'm like, I right now I'm visiting in Seattle. I'm helping a friend. I'm helping a friend with his restaurant, and I haven't seen my dogs in about 3 weeks now, and I really miss my dogs. So when he was like, "Can you go say hi to my dogs?" I'm like, "You go say hi to that guy's
you
dogs.
Better fucking do
check
it.
that fucking shirt over there and you say hi to his dogs." I miss my dogs.
That was a very sincere scene. Even when he's like talking about his sister, and like, she hates me.
Yeah.
Like you can tell, like I'm sure Randall Tex Cobb has a sister that hates him in real life. You're just channeling it.
I feel like he's one of those guys that's like super, like the character is like super nice, but like somebody buys him a beer and he just switches. Like he just turns into.
He's Billy from Predator.
He just turns into a completely different guy. But yeah, where were we? So, is this where James Woods? I think this is where he actually is at the house. Like we're introduced to the dogs. And his sister.
Yeah, before that, Lou Gossett Jr. comes over in the middle of the night to James Woods' apartment in Texas.
Yeah.
And they have this funny little comedic beat where he basically kicks open the door, starts pacing around and saying, like, "Oh, if you thought I was going to help you out at this con, you got another thing coming, Buster."
Yeah.
And then he stomps off through the door and, like, the moment it touches the moment the door starts to shut, he reopens and he says, "Pick me up at 8." And then cut. That's perfect. And then we get the scene where he's doing the thing for Randall Tex Cobb.
He's doing the right thing. It's probably the best things James Woods character's done on screen.
The one good deed.
The one good thing.
So he has the shirt and he walks it out to the dog cages.
And then we meet a 22-year-old Heather Graham. I did the math because I have my argument for why James Woods is a piece of shit in this movie. Yeah, I forgot how crazy hot Heather Graham was. Yeah, she's so fine in this movie.
Men of a certain age. Yeah, we get it.
So, we meet her and he's like, "You're her sister?" If you haven't seen Randall Cobb, he might be one of the ugliest dudes that ever lived.
He was definitely a boxer. I'll say that much.
He's Cro-Magnon, like brow hanging over his eyes. That's how masculine.
He's got the Neanderthal brow ridge. His nose is mush.
Yeah, it's just
it's just mashed potatoes.
He has a balding perm kind of hair, mullet. Balding perm.
Have you ever seen him in Ernest Goes to Jail?
No, but he has the exact same haircut in Ace Ventura.
Okay, well you should look up a picture of him from Ernest Goes to Jail because he has a beautiful haircut in that.
Also a boxer. I think that he's an actual smoker because I was a smoker for a while, and I can tell in movies when people are smokers and not smokers. It's there's very much smokers have a way of smoking, him smoking in Ace Ventura, I'm like, that's
no, I believe it. He was a journeyman boxer. I don't think he was ever world class, but he had that way about him where it's like, I think you're one of those guys who doesn't go to training camp. He just fights.
Exactly. I'm always fascinated when I see something like that in a movie. I'm like, you're having somebody who's a professional athlete or somebody who's an athlete, and then you have them smoking, like Brad Pitt in Snatch. Like he's supposed to be a bare knuckle boxer, and he's just smoking a cigarette. I'm like, God damn. Like,
how do you get your cardio up?
How's your cardio up? Doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, that's just Irish Traveler, just guts.
So James Woods doesn't need Viagra in this movie because
No.
he has got it hard up for this character. Yeah, he's floating every time she's around.
Yeah, so we get this fun little scene where James Woods meets her. He's like, "Oh, you're his sister? Okay."
Yeah, does make
and
sense.
they have a little bit of flirting. She's mostly I don't know, not terribly convinced that he's worth her time. So she's very standoffish for the most part. And the whole time, it's important to note that she is loading up her truck with cleaning supplies because there's a portion of the building that needs to be cleared out because there's a new tenant coming.
Yes.
And if you care anything about screenwriting, put a pin in that.
Put a pin in that. Yeah. Where does it go from here? Because this is like we get the setup, we get kind of what's happening.
So there's a scene in the interim where I think it was the mob boss from The Mask.
It is.
Yeah,
because I have it written down.
Yeah, the guy with the greasy ponytail.
Where's it at? I have it written down as ponytail. Villain from The Mask, greatest ponytail ever. That's what I know.
No joke. Like him and Steven Seagal, they have to go at it, you know.
I remember, I liked his. I always remember him talking to. I can't remember that guy's name. He plays a bad guy in some '90s movies, like Training Day, Blue Streak. Anyway, but he's got him with the golf club, just kind of.
Oh yeah.
Like, the cops tried to shut the club down this morning. Just his voice, and then I heard him talking, and I'm like, wait a minute. And then I saw the ponytail, and like, oh, it's him. No idea what his name is. But...
I don't have any clue, but that ponytail, apparently that was what got him the roles that he got.
He just cherry picked two character actors from Ace, or Jim Carrey did, and just put them. He's like, you're gonna be in The Mask. You're gonna be in Ace Ventura.
But yeah, so James Woods made this wager with Bruce Dern. And it's so high stakes that he actually needs a middleman to cover his end of the bet.
Yes, the ponytail from The Mask is the bookie.
Yes.
He's he might even be a bookie. He might just be like a mob dude who has...
Corsini, so I'd have to assume mob.
It felt mob boss.
Yeah, Corsini from Vegas. I hope he's a mob boss.
I've seen Casino.
Yeah. So James Woods apparently has past dealings with this Corsini fella. And he manages to convince him to back him.
Corsini.
Yeah, Mr. Corsini.
Yeah.
It's like, what was it? I'm confident he can escrow our wager.
Yeah, that's escrow our wager.
So yeah, now Corsini has his money on the table in James Woods' corner.
Yes.
With the caveat that if you fuck me, you are so dead.
Yes.
And there's a Hispanic fella in the room that just can't fucking wait to do it. So apparently James Woods like fucked his girlfriend or something. I don't know. It's never explicitly mentioned, but you can tell these two don't like each other. Yeah.
So really, up until the fight happens,
there's a lot of prep.
There's a lot of prep, but it's mostly just escalating the bet further and further. Like
it escalates during the fighting too.
It does, yeah.
So the early portions of the bet though are determining the rules.
Yes.
And it was actually I thought one of the better scenes in the movie where we get a boardroom scene where James Woods and Bruce Dern are arguing the terms, and Oliver Platt is like
just sitting there.
No, he's like fuming. Like he's screaming about I think the weight of the gloves and the number of rounds. Oh, because I think Bruce Dern's got his goonies, like his lackeys, the sheriff and the banker and the judge and stuff. They're all arguing that like I think it was like 10 rounds of fight with like 10-ounce gloves or something. The ounce of the gloves doesn't matter so much, but 10 rounds is like, fuck, man.
10 rounds is a lot.
It's like, what happens if you get a guy that just wants to lay on you? Like, that's 10 rounds of him laying on you, and then you got 9 more? Fuck that. That's what they should have done.
In his defense, Benny Urquidez, he does a decent job of reffing. For a while. And then
That's all he did.
He does okay. No, like actually keeping the fight going.
Oh, yeah. No, the officiating was not that was an element of the story that thankfully wasn't part. Like he's not a corrupt ref is what we're trying to say here. So the terms end up being these are very important. Mm-hmm. All the fighters have to be in Oliver County at the signing of the contract. So the day of.
Yes.
And a day is 24 hours, meaning, and those 10 fights have to transpire within exactly 24 hours.
Yeah.
And they agree to these terms. There's a pretty cool shot where Bruce Dern slides James Woods some whiskey.
Yeah, it was whiskey.
And he pops it open with one thumb. That was
he's
pretty
cool. Yeah,
because he's a cool guy.
Because he's a cool guy.
With a suede jacket or whatever, with a Jerry Seinfeld outfit.
Yeah.
It was the 90s,
So Lou Gossett Jr. is doing some training. He's doing a lot of running.
Yeah, and both parties are kind of jockeying for position. They're doing some intel on each other. They're doing recon. Yeah,
what's his face? RDJ, Richard Dreyfuss Jr. He's kind of spying on him. James Woods is like, oh, how fast is he? He's like 7:03. He's like, make it 8:40. He's like giving him like.
So we learned that he is thoroughly in James Woods' corner, and he's also playing Bruce Dern.
Yeah. Now is where Oliver Platt is basically barely in the movie.
This is where he starts to fade into the background. So the majority of the prep time before the fighting is our boxers training for Bruce Dern, and Lou Gossett Jr. training solo, mostly with James Woods and just doing road work on his own.
Yeah.
And during this, we get a weird scene where we get some background on this Charles Macomb Diggs fella.
Yeah.
So he's talked about a lot in the movie up to this point, but we have no real background onto why he's important. So Lou Gossett Jr. actually meets him during his road work.
Yeah. And that's when I figured out, I was like, oh, it's Wilhelm von Homburg.
Yeah. So Charles Macomb Diggs is now comatose, basically.
Vegetative. Well, not vegetative, but he's just sitting there, but he's conscious.
He's not responsive.
So
he's just staring off into space, and he has like a big grand estate with a maid, and that's about it.
Which I believe is the house from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. Actually, I'm almost positive it is.
I wouldn't doubt it. It looks kind of like it.
Yeah.
So Lou Gossett Jr. has he speaks his mind from as sincere as one can. Just talking about the nature of fighting and stuff, and this non-responsive Charles Macomb Diggs just staring off into space. So what we learn about this fella, Charles Macomb Diggs, is that Robert Guillaume was his manager. And James Woods is forced to explain to Lou Gossett Jr. how he came to be in this vegetative state. It was Diggs was on the precipice of becoming like a world champion contender, which is part of why the town worships him. However, his last fight, Guillaume got wise to the fact that the betting odds were against Diggs in such a way that if he were to lose, somebody could profit quite a bit.
Yeah.
So Guillaume dumped all his money into the other guy winning and doped up his own fighter. However, his own fighter didn't like we saw Michael Jai White do in Undisputed 2. He just kind of passed out after one solid kick. Whereas Diggs just went at it. I guess he went the distance, but his brain didn't make it, the way James Woods puts it.
He was getting him some kind of ammonia nitrate something.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what
he mentioned something like
amyl
that.
nitrate.
Amyl nitrate, yeah. Because ammonia poppers you can get in
so he put it in his nasal spray, basically.
I mean, a lot of power lifters do it before they do deadlifts. They'll do an ammonia popper, but what he's talking about is something completely different.
So the thing to take away from this exchange is that James Woods was hesitant to share this because it shows that there is more at stake than money.
Yeah.
It shows that Mr. Guillaume is willing to play for keeps at the expense of other people's lives.
Okay, so before pretty much now it's just escalating. There's one very important scene before we actually start getting into the fight that I wanted to get into. My argument that James Woods is this is his biggest piece of shit role. Okay.
Okay.
Now, James Woods in Casino, he's good. He's a very not likable character. The mustache makes him even more not likable. But I like him in that as being the unlikable character.
Him and the kid.
Yeah, him and the kid. Them just going back and forth. He's like, this little fucking kid.
You shut your mouth.
And he's a piece of shit in Any Given Sunday. More or less. He's giving football players extra painkillers and he's dangerously close to dying. Yeah, he's pretty bad in that movie. You're right. So for some reason, you'll probably know this. James Woods has picked up Heather Graham. Again, I did the math here. 45-year-old James Woods picks up 22-year-old Heather Graham. And they're driving, and now the town is just something happens, and everybody from the town is huddled around something. Like I think some people are taking pictures even. They're like, what the hell is this?
No joke, yeah.
So Heather Graham's just like, I'm going to get out of the car and see what's happening. So she goes over there. It's her brother, dead, naked, in a crate.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the movie just takes a complete shift. I'm like, oh, that's who they're fucking with. Okay, so we're killing dudes. She doesn't react the way I think she would.
Yeah, she's pretty lucid after that. Like she's down to talk, you know. She's not like hysterical or anything.
There's a moment when James Woods is like they're in an office at this place basically.
Yeah, she runs off and he chases her into some office
to console her, and he's consoling her, and she says something, and he legit gives her a look like he's about to move in for the kiss. He legit does. Like he's just sitting there looking at her, and he's just like, his mouth opens a little bit, like he's gonna go for it. Like she's a moment where she's vulnerable.
Yeah.
I have it written down. It said James Woods, 45, thinks about making out with a 22-year-old after she sees her dead, naked brother in a box outside the post office. That would make Lester from Casino uncomfortable. Like, oh, geez, that's pretty messed up.
Yeah, that's pretty low.
But if that one little look hadn't been there of him like making a move, it would have been fine. But I'm like, no, he's a piece of shit.
Well, thankfully he doesn't act on it. He gets ready for it.
He never does. He never does act on it.
Like to me, that's kind of like it's like Stallone's later movies. See, I'm confident that, say what you will about Sylvester Stallone, I think he understands his audience well enough to know that ever since The Specialist, no one needs to see him naked anymore, and no one needs to see him kiss women anymore, because it's like watching a sentient sausage casing, not even a sausage, just sausage casing, like press up against a woman.
It's like watching a bratwurst that you shot with a gun.
The fuck? And hit with a baseball bat a few times.
Well, he also knows, so like Mark Wahlberg has a huge, just because I have a buddy who's from Massachusetts, he's from Boston, so he's a big Mark Wahlberg fan because he's a fucking idiot. He likes Mark Wahlberg. I'm like, I bet Mark Wahlberg's got a big Massachusetts following just because he's from Boston. He did the movie about the Boston Marathon bombing.
Yes,
I remember that. But I think that you're right. Sylvester Stallone probably has a huge Philly population. Oh, enormous. Yeah. Like, he
sure.
knows, like, you don't want to see me make out with nobody. Let's just have my age, literally.
You don't need none of that.
I liked him in Guardians of the Galaxy, too.
No, but to me, that's like, I can't picture too many roles where James Woods was cast as a like light character, like a good person, and B, cast as a romantic interest. So it makes sense that he wouldn't be having like a romantic exchange with this person, because it's just hard to picture. It's just hard to picture James Woods having positive emotions.
Well, I mean, he's not a terrible person in The General's Daughter. That's just a very carelessly written movie as far as sexuality goes, sexual orientation goes in that movie. Jesus.
Yeah.
But I think his character, surprisingly, of all the people, I think his character was the only one that was halfway decent. Yeah.
Yeah. In that scene, though, James Woods has this weird moment where he like mentions offhand, where it's like, unless you're paying attention, you might not quite get it. Where turns out that the story that he told Lou Gossett Jr. about Charles Macomb Diggs was told to him by Randall Tex Cobb.
Oh, okay.
And it's explained through very sloppy exposition that Randall Tex Cobb was labeled the town drug dealer in Diggstown.
Yes.
And was shipped off to prison to keep him from spreading the word, I guess.
Correct. I remember that.
It's mentioned that he's coming out of prison 2 weeks after James Woods.
Yes, that's what it is.
And so it's arranged. It's arranged that he would be killed to keep the secret, basically. Correct. So he was never supposed to come home. So that scene has a reason for being there,
Yes.
other than him.
I knew there was a reason. I just couldn't think of what it was.
Maybe locking lips with a much younger woman.
So, Jesus is in this movie, by the way. I can't think of what his name is.
Jim Caviezel. Yeah, I call him the Passion of the Count of Monte Cristo.
I like the Count of Monte Cristo. It's a really good movie.
Well, he played both. So he's Jesus with a sword.
It's got one of my favorite character actors, Michael Wincott.
Michael Wincott. Yeah, he really liked his costume dramas, man. Like his period dramas.
I mean, he's great.
I didn't realize cigarette smoking was so popular back in like the 1500s.
Well, they didn't smoke cigarettes; they smoked pipes.
1700 to 1785, 1789.
So yeah, now pretty much we're leading up to the main event. We're going to Act 3, which is where I am gonna actually, Trevor, we're gonna.
Yeah, we should start to get to the fight in here.
So real quick, I just wanted to say I mentioned it on the last episode. I said remind me about Scorsese.
Okay.
So the trainer that is in there with Lou Gossett, he's like rubbing his hands and like putting his tape on, rubbing his shoulders and stuff like that. And I was looking at this guy and he was talking. I'm like, I feel like if Scorsese hadn't been a director, he would have been this guy. I feel like I don't know why. I could just picture Scorsese, like just small little Scorsese with his big glasses, just sitting there rubbing the dude's hands, because it's just so funny. Like the guy's really small, but he's got these just giant hands. You can tell like this is something that he's really good at.
I think he actually worked in boxing.
I could absolutely believe it. But I just feel like that's.
In fact, he may have been one of the people in Raging Bull, like one of the cornermen.
I wouldn't be surprised. I was thinking, I'm like, maybe Scorsese just would have been like a boxing trainer or something like that.
Actually, he's gone on record saying he doesn't like boxing.
He doesn't like boxing. He did a movie about Jake LaMotta.
One of the best movies about boxing.
Yeah,
but no, he
probably arguably. Yeah.
No, he wasn't a fan of the sport going in.
Wow, that's crazy.
He's a storyteller, man. He's
he makes the best films. He makes the best films. Really does. I've seen The Departed at least 8 times, probably.
No, Scorsese is brilliant. He has a host of imitators, one of whom is Todd Phillips, if you ask me anyway. He's the one heading up that new Joker movie.
Oh, really? Todd Phillips. Old school Hangover. Yeah. Todd Phillips.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah. Keep that in the back of your mind when you're thinking about what to picture.
Didn't he try something serious? I feel like
War Dogs.
I liked War Dogs. He didn't like it.
I thought it was a lame imitation of better films.
I think Lord of War is.
I think Lord of War and Pain and Gain did very similar. Covered similar ground better.
You can't even say Pain and Gain without me laughing about the Rock.
No, to me it was like.
Oh Jesus!
Definitely something worth covering as far as storytelling is concerned, but. Execution-wise, I was like, I've seen this done better elsewhere.
Yeah, plus Miles Teller's in it.
Fuck that guy.
Oh, God.
Although I do want to see Bleed for this.
You probably don't need to. Just watch Whiplash.
No. I want to see it. It's about Vinny Pazienza.
Who's that?
He was a.
Oh, the boxing movie. Okay, I thought it was the military one with him.
No, fuck that. Fuck that guy.
Make him play the drums. Put him in a superhero movie. Make him sad. Make him a war hero, make him a firefighter. What else can we do with him? We can make him box. Yeah.
I mean, he's hit every checkbox.
Seriously.
And he still hasn't made. He still isn't a household name.
No, he's not going.
It's not going to happen, son. It's not going to happen.
They're trying so hard. Whiplash was your high water mark, and you're funny.
Get a job, sir.
Get a job. He is funny in that.
Do like the rest of us. Get a fucking 9 to 5.
The 21 and over movie. He's really funny. He's funny. Like I call him the funniest dude in your church youth group, because I'm pretty sure he just has that oh yeah guys, we're gonna have fun at church tonight. Like he just has that kind of that energy to him. Yeah.
Anyway, that's a whole nother spiel. But you wanted to talk about Scorsese.
That's why I just wanted to mention that. I just thought that I just could see even Scorsese's dad. You remember Scorsese's dad? He's in Goodfellas. He's the one making the sauce.
Yeah.
He looks just like one of those guys.
No, he even his nose, you can tell he's probably been around the sport.
Yeah.
A lot of times they do that in movies where like the guys working the corner are actually like on-set advisors also. Mm-hmm. So they just keep them there doing what they would normally do, like Patch or Stitch rather from the UFC. Mm-hmm. You've seen him.
Yeah.
He has like the slicked back like salt and pepper hair and the bushy mustache and the glasses.
Yeah.
He's like the premier cut man in MMA for years. Now he works in boxing because some politics or something.
Side note, one of my favorite moments in Casino is Scorsese's mom.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
She's like, okay, it's enough.
No, she's great.
The breaking my fucking balls. Mom, sorry.
No, she was perfect. Like, she needed to be there.
Sorry, enough about the Scorsese's.
Yeah, we're going all over the place.
We're all over the place now. Okay.
So let's bring it to fight night, huh?
Media day. So,
media day. Okay.
Let's get to media day. So I have a question of like media at an unlicensed boxing match. I was thinking like it's small town, I guess, for the print, because even the guy at the bank is like, hey, to Heather Graham, like, hey, don't be late, you're gonna miss the match.
Yeah,
it's gonna go on soon.
Well, it's their thing.
I'm like, we are in Texas, so
I don't know if this place is in Texas.
But this is in Texas.
Really?
This is all in Texas.
Because Lou Gossett Jr. was in Texas.
All this is happening in Texas.
I thought it was like deep south.
Because the
Georgia or something.
The penitentiary. No, the guy that the dude fights is actually from Georgia, because I had to look him up.
Okay.
But the penitentiary is like not far from where they're at, and it's in Texas. Okay. That's how they're able to get. What's his face? Yeah. Anyway. So yeah, I was like,
media day.
I was like, maybe this is Texas. Like maybe because Texas pretty much do their own thing as far as state laws go. They're like, we don't give a fuck, dude.
Yeah.
We have like maybe in maybe this is why it's set in Texas. Like maybe they do. Maybe at the time they just had like no rules for like unlicensed boxing matches. I don't know.
Yeah, boxing in particular, state regulations are very different.
Gotcha.
They're all over the place, and boxing has always been kind of the Wild West.
I wonder what it's like in Vegas. What can you do in Nevada for boxing? I just can't imagine. Can you have unlicensed boxing matches in Nevada? I'm thinking maybe.
Mr. Corsini, how about you chime in on this?
Don't go to Vegas.
Don't go to Vegas.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
So, yeah, this is when I saw the ref. This is when I wrote down Benny. I was super excited because I was just thinking of his fight in Gross Point Blank.
Yeah.
Just a lot of fun.
I'm telling you need to check out his other fights.
I've got
because that was when he was older and slower and matched up with John Cusack, who I don't think is a physical specimen of any sort.
No.
No. I mean, I know he held up that boombox, but that's a different kind of workout.
He was in 16 Candles, and he was beta to Michael Anthony Hall's Alpha Nerd.
Oh yeah, that's holy shit.
Michael Anthony Hall, he had
Anthony Michael Hall.
Michael Anthony. Who's Michael? Oh, that's the bassist from Van Halen, isn't it?
Yeah, I think
Michael Anthony Hall, Anthony Michael Hall. I think.
Yeah. That happens, folks.
Welcome back to This Is the 80s. But yeah.
That's when you noticed the ref?
Yeah, that's when I noticed the ref, and I got super excited because I'm like, oh, Trevor's going to mention this at some point.
Oh,
yeah. Then my next note that I have, now boxing is going now. We're starting off with, so there's a group of 10.
Yeah.
Now we failed to mention that Oliver Platt goes to talk to a couple of the guys that are going to be fighting.
So what's going on here is there's a lot of sleazy shit going on the sides before the fighting even commences.
Okay, so I was watching Snatch not too long ago.
Okay.
And this will be relevant because we just covered Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels not too long ago. But Brad Pitt is fighting in the unlicensed bare knuckle boxing. Oh, not bare knuckle. It's just unlicensed boxing. Mm-hmm. And I'm just wondering. I'm like, there's no regulations really, and this is just for people to make money. Like that's all this is just for betting.
It's also a public event though, so it's fought under conventional boxing rules.
Conventional, yes, but like the whole thing is just like this is set up. Like this is set up.
Well, and there's a shit ton of money on the table, so of course they're going to be playing every angle they can.
So who's betting on this? Like, are they betting on who is gonna fall? Like, it's not even like who's gonna lose. This is like flipping a coin. Like who's gonna fall? Like who's like?
Well, Oliver Platt's in the crowd taking bets.
Exactly.
And so this is actually part of the long con is that James Woods anticipates this, and the idea is not only will we have this bet going with Guillaume, which is continually escalating, by the way.
It is escalating. Is this where has he gone in? No, that's the second day.
No,
sorry,
the idea here is that part of the way they're trying to con the fighters is to structure things in such a way that the drama builds, that the crowd gets invested, and that the crowd starts to believe that Honey Roy Palmer might fall. So they'll, bet more.
I would definitely bet against him. Absolutely.
He's fighting 10 guys, he's 48 years old. It's said in the movie. He's 48 years old.
Like, while he's training, I'm like, I get it. He's supposed to be like an older, scrappy dude that's still got it. When he pops that shirt off, he's got like an old man hunch when he gets out.
His physicality leaves something to be desired. The one saving grace, and this is me stretching very far to try to defend this film, is that it's common knowledge that the last thing a fighter loses is their power. Mm-hmm. The legs go first, power goes last. Yeah. And his record, which it's very important to note, Guillaume, Bruce Dern, does some research on Mr. Honeyroy Palmer, right after he makes his bet, actually. Yeah. And he discovers a couple of very important facts, one of which I'll keep concealed for now. Mm-hmm. But the one that's relevant right now is his record. It's like 36-0. 36-2.
But all knockouts.
With like virtually all knockouts.
And he tells the dudes, he's like, we should probably be taking a dude seriously who's gotten this many knockouts.
Yeah, that regardless of age, the man has power, and especially in boxing, power is sneaky. Sometimes guys who don't look like much just have a gift from on high that gives them special powers.
If you want to test this theory out and see if power is the last thing a boxer loses, go smack Mike Tyson in the face.
See what happens.
Well, you won't know what happens. You'll slap him, and then you'll just be in the hospital.
I mean, George Foreman is an extreme example because he was a big motherfucker.
He's huge.
Like, Lou Gossett Jr., unfortunately, doesn't have, like, a Michael Jai White body to sell it, but George Foreman was in his late 40s and was putting people to sleep.
I want to say Sugar Ray Leonard. That's kind of who he reminds me of a little bit. That's the only old boxer that I can think of that has more of that. You can say Mayweather, but Mayweather's a lighter weight,
well, I mean, it's funny because he actually does kind of look like an old-timey boxer from like the 40s and the 50s. Mm-hmm. He doesn't look like a contemporary fighter at all, but he's not supposed to be. Like, he does look like kind of like a Jersey Joe Walcott or something, or a Charlie Burley. Like,
just size and weight, like not.
And also the athleticism. Like I said about Randall Tex Cobb, a lot of guys back in the day trained by fighting.
Yeah.
They didn't go to the gym. They just kept fighting every day. Sometimes more than once a day.
Or I'm going to rip the filter off this cigarette. I'm going to knock you the fuck out. Yeah, that's what Randall Tex Cobb was doing.
I'm going to eat half a steak before I get in the ring.
I think he's still alive. I think Tex Cobb's still alive. I
wouldn't doubt it. But
I just would have expected, boxers, professional athletes.
Smokers, too.
Yeah, smokers.
But yeah, so on this first day of fighting, we get our grand reveal of the not-so-spectacular physique. We get a fun little montage moment where all the guys in the back are getting like a pep talk from Bruce Dern.
He's telling exactly what they're going to be doing.
He has a game
plan. By the way, there's no weight class. Like, there's
no.
absolutely no weight class. I feel like that's something that James Woods would have tried to do.
Yeah, you would think there'd be a stipulation about weight class, but I think, and again, this is me stretching very hard to defend the film.
Yeah.
I think it's supposed to be all heavyweight.
All heavybweight?
These guys,
Lou Gossett is not a heavyweight.
No, he's probably like a middleweight.
Jesus is
he's
about the size of Conor McGregor. Like he's about 180.
Jim Caviezel is like 145 at most.
I was gonna say he's like 150.
There's a gentleman who's over 250 at some point, but the idea I'm trying to force here is that heavyweight has no upper limit.
Okay.
So it's just like 200 up, basically.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Now, I know of boxing and MMA weight classes.
Yeah.
Now, I know from wrestling that going up a weight class, just 5-6 pounds, can completely fuck you over. Like,
especially in terms of power.
And like, it doesn't take much. Like, you could weigh in at 130. Like, if you accidentally wrestled somebody at 135, you get your ass handed to you because you're like, fuck, that's 5 extra pounds. It's just that little bit makes all the difference. Now,
especially at the middle weights where you can crush down into like a weight class that's 30 pounds under your walking around weight.
Because if you get a dude that walks around at 185, drops 20 pounds for the season, wrestling at 165,
he's still 185 inside.
Yeah, he's just, yeah. Now in boxing, is that the same?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay,
absolutely.
I had a feeling. I wasn't really sure.
My idea is that in the script, everyone was supposed to be heavyweight.
Gotcha.
and that just waves that off.
Well, what's the kid's name?
Robbie?
Yeah, Bruce Dern's boyfriend and son.
He does have gorgeous eyes. Like, he has like the most perfectly tailored eyebrows and eyelashes.
Do you remember? Did you see Semi-Pro with
a long time ago? Yeah.
Fucking Will Ferrell's talking to Andy Richter. He's like, you're like a friend who's been like a son to me. Like a son who's the exact same age, like a friend's son. And this is like his boyfriend's son. But he weighs about as much as me.
Yeah,
about
he's a small guy.
160, 165.
He's a skinny guy, but also remember the two kids, Jim Caviezel and Robbie, they're both there at Bruce Dern's urging because they're trying to reclaim their honor or something. And there's a stipulation allowing them to wear headgear.
Yeah.
So maybe they're like supposed to be the outliers or something.
Jesus says the N-word. Okay, so...
Jesus says the N-word.
The first fight happens.
Yeah, first fight is between Honey Roy Palmer and I think of him as Buff Nathan Fillion.
Yeah, that's good, Buff Nathan Fillion.
Apparently, he was an active boxer at the time of filming. But yeah, he just looks like Buff Nathan Fillion. And the important thing to note about the first fight is that it's a legitimate fight. Mm-hmm. Not as
shit hasn't. Yeah,
as we'll learn later, not all the fights are legitimate because both parties have gotten their claws into the participants.
Never ever bet on a underground or not licensed boxing match.
Yeah. It's not going to
go the way.
It's never going to go the way you think. But that first
no
fight,
idea what's happening.
That first fight is a legit contest, though.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be the tone setter, at least for betting purposes, because it's supposed to show that Honey Roy Palmer is vulnerable.
Yeah.
So the crowd will want to, bet against it.
Yeah.
He manages to knock the fella out, and we get the second match, which is this. Is this Jim Caviezel?
I think it's Jesus' second because I have right in my notes is like I see the ref and then the first dude and then Jesus says the N-word. And that's when I'm like, oh, like I was really thrown off guard because I can't think of anything race related. There hasn't been one mention of anything about race.
Yeah, this is the first time this is entered into the picture, and it comes pretty harsh.
Honestly, if like this third act, if they would have kept this thread out, I would be more okay with this would be more of a fun movie.
That's fair.
But yeah, this is where I'm like, Jesus.
Yeah, it escalates quickly.
So
this is the first hint of the darker elements of the story, and it's just one word, but it cuts pretty deep.
Yeah.
And basically, Honey Roy Palmer beats him pretty legitimately, and then he throws a temper tantrum. He drops that N-bomb. I think he punches Benny Urquidez.
Somebody does punch Benny, but it's
no, it's the guy from the bar.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But yeah, Lou Gossett Jr. knocks his ass out and gives him a spanking in front of the crowd.
Yeah.
Everybody kind of glosses over the fact that he just called him, one of the worst things you could never call a person.
Yeah.
And then we're on to the next fight.
Is this another townie, or are we getting to the young black?
Is this the guy that got the
shit? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one is I got it from here.
Yeah. Go for it, sir.
So this is where James Woods is. This is where his con is starting to come in. Now he has basically, as we saw in Undisputed 2, he is put something into the drink of this guy, and this guy's got bubbly, rumbling guts going on.
Yeah, it's like Ren and Stimpy fart noises happening.
Somebody has one of those. This is probably when they invented that fart machine. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, my dad had one.
Okay, so Wayne's World 2, dude. Lots of guys' girlfriends are in there. Trevor, lots of dads have that. Yeah, my dad's fart machine's in there. A lot of dad's fart machines.
A lot of dad's fart machines.
So yeah, I think this is where they came from because it's like it's exactly the same noises. But yeah, this dude's huge, and I'm like this monster. He looks like Ogre from Revenge of the Nerds.
He looks like a little bit smaller Ogre.
Yeah, and less ugly, but I'm like, this dude is going to shit. Like I was actually ready for it. Like I'm prepared. Oh, yeah. He's going to shit all over the place, and they're gonna have to take a recess. But he makes it out. How? I don't know how he makes it out of there. The way he's like rumbling and bubbling.
Oh yeah. Gossett Jr. is relentless with the body shots during their very brief contest, just working them kidneys, working them ribs, and eventually the bubbling and gurgling noises get bad to the point that the man just exits the ring of his own accord, and it's counted as a loss.
I wonder if that's ever happened in boxing history, like where somebody's like sitting there fighting, and then like you don't like. You feel the rumble and you feel it coming and you just stop and then boom.
Well, I know for a fact people have shit their pants in the ring. Not at the moment of the knockout, but
knockout shit.
It usually comes right after, not during. I know I'm sure it's on YouTube or something. There was an instance where someone got like a rear naked choke on someone that shat themselves.
Oh, that's embarrassing.
So imagine having that.
I've seen it.
Yeah,
I've seen it happen before.
Like, because the way your bodies are lined up in that position.
It's
like, I don't even care if I win anymore.
It's on my leg. It's everywhere. Jesus.
It's just like someone hops over the roof of the cage.
Oh. So he doesn't shit his pants, but this is where the young black kid comes in.
Yeah, so as it so happens, James Woods' crew are tipped off by RDJ that there's two people on Bruce Dern's team, two black gentlemen who they're brothers actually.
Yes,
I think Busby brothers or Buzzy something brothers. Sure. So they're brothers, and he's tipped off to the fact that these guys are willing to help out.
Yeah.
So if they pay them accordingly, they'll take a fall just fine. Yeah. What they discovered though is that the younger of these two brothers is a very poor actor.
Yeah. And
he interprets putting on a performance and going easy on Honey Roy Palmer to mean dance all night and throw no punches.
Yeah. He's clearly not fighting.
So he's a young man in his physical prime faced with a tired 48-year-old man and not throwing any punches in front of a crowd who's very partisan.
Yeah.
And
Bruce Dern is figuring it out
he
quick.
At a glance, he figures this out.
But he should know that, like, what's going on here. Like, he's trying to he's trying to do stuff. It's kind of like a game of chess. It's just like, who's going to out-con the other one? But this is where Bruce Dern's like, well, I don't think that James Woods is fighting fair here.
I don't think that's very gentlemanly like now.
But I think that Bruce Dern did know that because after this kid gets beat by Lou Gossett,
basically Lou Gossett tells him like this is doing nothing for the crowd, just fall down. Just go to sleep. And of course he lays down. He goes down for 10 count, leaves.
Yeah.
And then in the locker room, some stuff happens.
Yeah. So they go grab his brother, who's a bigger dude. So
damn.
The younger brother is a little bit smaller, different weight class altogether.
Yeah, no, he's not a heavyweight.
It looks like Martin Lawrence and Will Smith in Bad Boys. Like, those are the two different sizes.
Yeah, there's a definite size discrepancy.
Very clear. So his brother goes into the bathroom, and I'm already shocked by the N-word dropped by Jesus. And I have in my notes, I'm like, dude, ... the racist turn this movie takes. They put him in a noose. Not even like...
He's standing on a chair with a noose around his neck.
You could have tied him in a chair. You could have tied him in a chair and poured gasoline on him or something. Like,
we gotta go the traditional route. Fuck.
Put a noose on him. I let out an audible, holy shit.
Yeah, that escalated quickly.
Because the movie, like I was saying, I was comparing it to The Ninth Gate, where you have this tone that you're trying to set a tone. And the music in this movie is just very very bebopping and scatting, whimsical. You're waiting for Kurt Russell to honk his semi horn 2 times as he's driving by. I got a 6-pack, not a big deal.
Yeah,
we don't get pulled over for that shit now.
Yeah,
and then you throw a black dude in a noose.
And it's like,
just the tone has shifted drastically.
Yeah.
So I say the music doesn't match the tone.
No, it. Like I said, the music to me sounds a little chintzy, and chintzy oftentimes comes across as like too bouncy, too colorful, too fun. Yeah. And in this case, definitely. Yeah. So the events that happen in the locker room influence the next fight. So the brother goes out, Ham,
Dern has told him that he has to win.
Yes, he's like, you win or something's gonna happen.
And this guy is capable of winning.
He's a big fella.
He's big. He definitely outweighs Lou Gossett easily.
Oh yeah, no, he's a head taller than him and twice as wide.
Easily.
So he goes out, and it's understood by James Woods' corner that this guy's on he's on the take, and he's on our side.
Yeah.
Instead, this guy comes charging out the corner and trying to take his head off.
Bam, yeah, he is. Yeah.
And remember, several fights have already transpired, so this old man is suddenly faced with a dire physical threat.
He has this dude trying to beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, and so what follows is a decent fight. Like, the drama's actually legit.
Yeah.
The guy who plays Ham does a very good job with his physical acting, where you can tell he's distressed.
He's trying, yeah.
There's no technique. It's just kind of like, I gotta kill this guy, otherwise something bad's gonna happen to my brother.
And he's legit trying, his brother's in a noose, and if he doesn't beat this dude, they're gonna hang him.
Yeah,
so
the drama comes from the parties not knowing what the other ones do. So it's like James Woods' corner, they're angry. Like, they're upset. They're like, what's his problem? And he's just like in this emotional crisis that they're not aware of. And sure enough, Lou Gossett Jr. manages to put him down, and we get this really good moment. Again, probably belongs in a different movie, but we get this really great moment where he is unable to make it up for the 10 count. But instead of getting to his feet, he basically just rolls out of the ring, like disregarding the count, and just runs straight to the locker room. And conveniently, the sheriff runs right behind him.
Yeah, because his brother is dead.
Yeah, so they went through with it.
And again, like, we have a dude hanging, which for me, this is something that
for kids.
This bothers me in movies. It's something that gives me the heebie-jeebies. The heebie-jeebies. Is that politically correct? I don't even know anymore. It might not be.
I'm still using it. I don't know if
did they say it in Scooby-Doo? I think if they said it in Scooby-Doo, it's totally fine.
I think we're good.
I think we're good. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, people hanging always freaks me out. Like Braveheart, that's a really terrifying thing where like you see the feet. I think it's really powerful in Gladiator when you see like that. It's still very eerie to me, but this is. It's a little bit stronger than that because this isn't.
Well, I mean, again, the actor, the guy who plays Ham, unfortunately I don't know his name, but his reaction is pretty genuine. Like,
yeah.
He's devastated, and all he's trying to do is like strip away the reality of what's happening. But he's trying to like hoist him up to like get, remove the leverage of the rope pulling him, and then the sheriff comes in, and
it would be one thing if they had him hanging and like Brendan Fraser and the Mummy like struggling, and he manages to get him out or something like that.
If it was anything else, like if he had a bullet in his head.
I'm just saying, if you
like, if he was just dead without showing explicitly how it happened.
But the filmmaker's trying to like.
Well, but then they also dial it back, and when Ham is trying to get his brother down from the ceiling, the sheriff comes in and actually whips out his gun because Ham's getting violent because his brother's fucking dead and he's freaked out.
My head was spinning. I'm like, oh my god!
And I think there's usage of the term "boy."
They've said it. They actually say it quite a bit near the end of the movie.
Yeah, I do notice. It's like better like back up right now, boy, or something. It's like, ooh, okay.
But if you're going to try to intimidate, if you're threatening somebody with something like this, it's supposed to be like a power move. But when it's a young black man in the South being hung,
what I'm getting to though is that there's a suicide note planted on him. Planted. But that's how they get out of this death. That's how they write it off as not a lynching.
There's an attempt at that later.
Yeah, that's especially weird. But in this case, they used the suicide note to write it off as, oh, I really wanted to beat that old man. I didn't do it, so I killed myself.
The movie was whimsical and like it was goofy, and then this was just too much.
It was a bit much, but I gotta say it's actually pretty well acted. Like
the scene is well acted, but later it's not. Later the brother like we'll get to
the payoff.
The fucking payoff. Yeah. Are you kidding me?
That's not a payoff.
That's not a payoff.
No, that's an insult actually.
Oof, yeah.
Good line though.
Yeah. So I'm like, Jesus Christ, the third act is dark.
Yeah.
and I have ... and another news.
Yeah.
So basically now
we get a reprieve from the fighting.
Yes.
Because a man just died.
A young black man was hung.
And so people are, told to go home, and we'll reconvene tomorrow for the end of the 24-hour event.
I just think that it was irresponsible, and the filmmaker, they could have gone a different route with threatening to kill.
They could have, but I think this was based on a book.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe the book had more content of that type and a different tone.
Well, if that's the case, then you need to have the characters that needs to be a thread throughout.
That's if it is something that came from the book, then that's an example of poor adaptation. Because what you should do is you should trim around that, and make all your scenes suit the tone of your film.
Let's make it very clear.
That's a very important element of adapting a screenplay. Is you need to figure out what fits for this project, not taking it from the book because it came from the book.
And see, that could have been they could have used that as motivation for Lou Gossett. Like, that could have been the whole thread.
It kind of was.
It wasn't until this happened. Yeah. He's like, now it's personal. Yeah. Like, if James Woods would have pitched him like, hey man, there's this crazy racist dude that is like fixing boxing matches, and make Bruce Dern racist, and like he's got control of this whole town. He's almost got like a Mandingo fighting kind of thing going on, like super. Really, really, really bad.
Well, it's kind of like on the fly character development, where all of our main characters got into this because of the money, purely because of the money, and it all kind of snowballs after that. Yeah,
I want to make sure that I use that term. I hate using that term, but that's
Mandingo.
Yeah,
no, that's correct.
I know it's correct. It just it feels wrong.
Oh, it's not something you use in every day.
No, it's not something you use every day. But yeah, that's if they would have gone with something like that, I feel like it would have been this would have been more earned. But anyway,
there's another noose.
There's another noose. I'm like, okay, let's put a white guy in it this time. That was a little.
It's kind of a nothing scene, really.
There's no way to. He's just like, oh, I can't wait to kill you. He's like, oh, you're probably not going to kill me now.
Yeah, so Corsini's goon, the Hispanic gentleman that had beef with James Woods for some reason.
Corsini's goons, I really like that.
He ambushes James Woods in the middle of the night. So this is between the days of fighting. Mm-hmm. And he strings him up on a noose briefly, as just a vague threat that basically it's like, oh, you better not waste my boss's money. Yeah. And it's like, okay, Roy took some punches. It's a boxing match. It happens,
I feel like then...
And you think this is going to help me to win? Like the stress of being hung?
Yeah, this isn't
going to help me corner him.
I think you might be right that if this is based off of a book, this would make more sense. Like,
yeah, that scene in particular felt very empty. Like, it's just kind of there. And even the follow-up to it where it's like, I think what they were trying to do was Lou Gossett Jr. definitely after the hanging is much more motivated, and it shows in his performance where it's like I'm in it now, much more than I was before. Whereas James Woods doesn't get a push, so I think they felt obligated to give him more stakes in it other than money, where it's like, oh, his life is on the line.
I feel like if this book was probably set like in the 50s.
I don't know.
50s rural Texas. I feel like it would have made more sense. Like the betting and racism. Like
I wouldn't doubt it.
It would have made more sense.
Which brings us to the next day of fighting.
This is where are we going to up the bet here?
Oh yeah. So throughout all the fighting, there's a side bet that continually just gets stacked up on top of this.
I honestly, I heard him talk about the side bet. I'm like, there's a fucking side bet.
Yeah, we're getting into millions now.
yeah, Bruce Dern is going to try to clean this dude out or break his legs, one way or the other.
So James Woods resolves himself to take everything Bruce Dern has. Mm-hmm. And as Kyle pointed out, Bruce Dern is more than willing to take the bait. Oh, yeah. So yeah, this wager is getting completely out of control. Yeah. And the first fight of the second evening, I think, is the guy that punched Oliver Platt. Yeah. And he's the one that punches Benny Urquidez. Mm-hmm. So he's another sore loser that actually kicks Lou Gossett Jr. in the junk.
Yeah, he hit him. Who's the dude he knocks out the very first punch?
Oh, I don't think he had a name, but he looks like Michael Keaton on the very worst day of his life.
So I know that the dude with the cigar, is that what
Yeah.
you're thinking of? So this guy, I'm guessing it was just like another townie that's just like a brawler of some kind.
I think he may have been paid off because he is just there to lay down, and he does it well, actually.
I know this. I've seen this guy. I can't. He's a very memorable face. I think he was one of the cops in Christmas Vacation. He's like, I told you to freeze, mister. Maybe blink. Yeah, he was in something I just watched very recently. I just can't think of what it is. But yeah, he just knocks him out with one punch.
Oh yeah, it's a nothing little scene, but the guy does a good job just falling on his ass.
Yeah.
It's a single punch knockout, and he slumps over convincingly. Jason Clarke was the guy I was thinking of from those. He was in Terminator Genisys.
Oh, Genisys.
And Everest, and the second of those new Planet of the Apes.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
He kind of has that facial structure.
He does.
But yeah, this guy just shows up with his he's wearing
jeans,
knee length, rolled up jeans.
Yeah.
He doesn't even have boxing trunks.
He's smoking a cigar. He's got roses. Is he doing the?
Oh yeah.
Mike
He's doing kind of the old timey bare knuckle style, holding his hands up with the knuckles turned out.
Yeah.
So what comes next? I think it's Tank that's next.
That's the dude that punched.
That's the dude. I think he was in High School High as someone's bodyguard.
Oh, High School. I've never seen High School High.
Oh, High School High is horribly dated. I think it might still be funny, but if you're sensitive to certain things that you might be sensitive to, it's probably
Gotcha.
offensive as all hell. But I like to me some John Lovitz. Fuck off. But yeah, Tank is, as his name is an apt description. He's 250 pounds. He's a head taller than Lou Gossett Jr.
Yeah,
and is just a barroom brawl. It's actually one of the legit fights in the movie. So there's no shenanigans or whatever. Lou Gossett actually has to beat him.
Yeah,
and the music kind of takes on a fun tone here. Again, it clashes with some of the events of the movie, where it has a old-timey saloon piano playing.
Yeah.
Well, it's a slow downbeat tune that kind of works for the size of the character, and also the choreography of that fight. You can tell it's more like a wrestling match than a boxing match. And it ends with Tank getting knocked on his face and down for the count. Which, what does that bring us to the?
So we have to get Bruce Dern's boyfriend.
Forgot to mention, the boyfriend. That happened on the first day, actually.
That was the first day?
That was the first day. I forgot to mention.
Yeah. So he does that to we're just gonna get inside of his head. He has his son who's supposed to fight him. He's all ready to go, and he's like, I need you to just go up there, look at him, and then walk back down. It's going to get inside of his head. It's going to mess him all up.
So apparently Bruce Dern has a plan here.
Yes.
He's very insistent, even though his son boyfriend absolutely wants to fight because he wants his honor back.
Yeah.
Bruce Dern is adamant that
his car's on the line, too.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
the important things.
This whole time, all I'm thinking of is winner takes it all.
Sammy Hagar.
Yeah, that's all I can think of.
That movie this movie could have used a song
the
like
score,
that.
Oh yeah,
it could have used.
But this is 90
Arena Rock or something.
This is 92. Arena Rock was on its way out.
And Motley Crue wouldn't really fit in Diggstown.
I can't figure out if this movie would be better if it were a fun 80s movie, or if it were the Coen brothers got a hold of it and had their way with it. Because I feel like if you wanted this to go dark, I think they could have done it. I think they could have made this interesting.
Well, I think for the most part the script and the performances are actually pretty good. But like you said, there's some scenes that maybe don't need to be there.
I was going to say, if you wanted
and if the boxing was a little better, I think that would have helped a lot.
And the Coens don't really do sports.
They do violence, though.
They do violence.
And as I said, Scorsese doesn't have any appreciation for boxing, but he put some of the most brutal displays of what it he had that inside the ring feel to the cinematography of the boxing in Raging Bull.
Anyway, sorry.
So this boyfriend's son, he, despite protesting, he does what he's told. So on the first day, he steps up to the apron, he looks Anya Roy Palmer direct in the eyes, and he doesn't enter the ring.
So, I think we're on number 10, air quotes.
Yes.
So, we're on number 10, and they pull out. This is the big dude. This is Holyfield, basically. He has to fight.
Going back to earlier stages of the film, when the bet was first established, we said that Bruce Dern did some research on Mr. Honey Roy Palmer. Mm-hmm. It's revealed that he has 2 losses on his record. Only 2. Mm-hmm. And they're both to the same man.
The dude who was way outside of his fucking weight class.
He's a person by the name of Hammerhead Hagen.
Yeah.
Who
is terrifying.
Suddenly appears in the arena.
Yeah.
With a good old spotlight on him. It's a pretty cool moment, actually. Mm-hmm. And we get this cool moment where Ugasa Jr. is just staring out into the crowd, and James Woods is like, "You know him?" And he's like, "That's Hammerhead Hagen."
That's Hammerhead Hagen.
And, so, going back again in the events of the film, do you remember when Heather Graham was clearing out the basement?
Yeah, I do. I remember all of her scenes very vividly.
Oh, we didn't cover her walking the dogs.
That's okay.
I thought it was really funny that you can like actually see like the bounce board putting like the sexy light on her face. Mm-hmm. It's like, the light's really attracted to her. Like, you know, we're outside, but somehow the sun is just finding its way onto her face just perfectly.
If you would like more Heather Graham, watch Killing Me Softly.
So the significance of her clearing out that basement comes from the fact that our bet had a stipulation saying that any person residing in Oliver County at the signing of the contract is a valid participant. Mm-hmm. As it so happens, Hammerhead Hagen was the new tenant.
Yes.
On the day of the signing of the contract. So Mr. Bruce Dern slipped him in under the radar. He found him, and now he's his ringer.
He's got the right paperwork. He's like
the banker or the judge or whatever actually like pulls out like his rental agreement or whatever, his lease.
So now we have, was it Rocky? Which one does he have to beat Creed?
Oh, that would be 2.
2. Okay, so we have Rocky 2 basically happening.
Yeah, so we get the rubber match between Hammerhead Hagen and Honey Roy Palmer. It's of course a legit contest. Actually,
legit contest.
I really like their dialogue when they're first getting like squaring off in the ring.
I thought you'd be dead.
He's like, "Thought you'd be dead by now," and Hammerhead Hagen's like, "Damn, you look bad."
Hammerhead's not wrong. Hammerhead it looks like Kimbo Slice basically. Yeah, he still looks fine.
He's jacked,
huge. Yeah.
I think right before he lays into him, he's like, "Now how does this feel?" Yeah. It's pretty great. Jeez. But yeah, they go at it, and it's a blistering fight. It's probably the best fight in the whole movie. I mean, the bar's pretty low, but like combination of the music and the editing and the makeup on Ugasa, like he gets pretty royally fucked up.
Yeah, as most people would if they fought this guy.
It's a pretty solid contest, and we get the fun little corner banter where it's like, "Oh, I gotta stop the fight, Roy," and James Woods, they have this really awkward dramatic moment where James Woods tries to throw in the towel, and there's a precedent for this. I guess the reason why they stopped working together
was because he threw in the towel and he wasn't tired.
Yeah. The idea was James Woods was urging Lou Gossett to improve his acting ability to up the stakes in the betting.
Yeah.
In a previous scheme a previous con. And I guess his acting was too good, and James Woods thought he was actually being hurt and dying or something, so he threw in the towel, and they lost a shit ton of money. So there's precedent for him throwing in the towel this time. You have this awkward moment where Lou Gossett Jr. catches in slow motion the towel being thrown in. 90s ass electric guitar riff.
Wild Stallions.
Yeah. And then he throws the towel back in his face, and somehow the ref doesn't wave it off.
No.
You said Benny was good at his job. I questioned that.
Yeah. He's fine.
Like, also, as far as I know, in boxing, you're not supposed to throw in the towel. You're supposed to wave it.
You don't actually throw the towel.
No, like, it's a real thing, because what would happen is if the ref didn't see who threw the towel, someone in the crowd could have thrown it for all he knows, so he could halt a contest that didn't reach its natural conclusion.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then we get a weird moment in the choreography where it's very like Undisputed 2, where he just kind of decides to win.
Yeah, I'm gonna win now.
Yeah, he gets up after getting his ass knocked down several times by Hammerhead Hagen and just lays him out.
I would have just laid down, if I didn't know who I was fighting, just sitting there getting warmed up, and then I see him walk in, I would just lay down.
I think that was a line from Hey Arnold. Do you remember that show?
Yeah, I remember Hey Arnold.
There's a scene where Harold wants to fight Arnold. Harold, the kid with like the big ass, the fat kid basically, the fat bully kid. He wants to fight Arnold, and Gerald keeps telling Arnold, if he hits you, just lay down. Just lay down. Like right before they square off, you can see Gerald in the background just like mouthing, just lay down.
Lay down.
I was like, jeez. It's funny because that's contrary to my dad's advice. He's like, don't go down because it doesn't stop when you go down.
If I had a time machine, I would take my phone and have Tank Abbott's highlights, and I would go to each one of the guys that he's fought and knocked out, and have them watch that.
Just lay down.
Just lay down.
Lay down.
He's gonna murder you.
It's not worth it.
He shouldn't be allowed to fight. He's too powerful.
Have you seen him as a wrestler?
No. I know you
just
can tell.
Lay down.
I can see because I remember seeing. He had a great sprawl. I'm like, his sprawl is phenomenal. Like, I'm like,
he was in like I think WCW for a little while.
Oh, like actual like
pro wrestling.
Oh, I thought you meant like
And you know how pro wrestling's supposed to be fake? It's supposed to be organized.
Boom!
It's like somebody touches him the wrong way, and it's like, oh, it's not fake anymore.
Jeez, that's scary.
Yeah, and they let him handle steel chairs and stuff too.
That's not.
You don't do that.
He's not a good person either.
He's not a good person.
He's not a good person.
You don't want to give him tools.
No.
That's like the monkey from 2001. Just like you don't want to give him a bone. Don't give him tools. Should put that over a montage of Tank Abbott just bashing people.
Just knocking the shit out of people in chairs. Oh.
So yeah, Hammerhead Hagen is dispatched.
Yes.
And we get this celebratory moment where
victory.
Oliver Platt, James Woods,
10 for 10. Yeah.
Yeah, they're all just like hooping and hollering. They're super happy, and then Bruce Dern steps up on the action.
No. A little shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, so he had his son walk out because this is where they've made a deal with the devil almost. This is what the devil would pull. Like, now hang on.
Now see here.
Technically, he didn't walk into the ring.
Yeah.
He just
he never stepped over the ropes.
He never stepped over the rope, so he didn't actually. He just never went in. So you haven't fought 9 people, and James Woods is like, well, this is bullshit. This is bullshit. But James Woods, he's a man prepared. His character's prepared.
No.
So he's like, okay, fine.
Yeah, and they there's precedent for this because during that card game with Oliver Platt in the prison, he reveals that he was hiding an ace while they were casually playing cards.
Correct. They were
Again, if you care about screenwriting,
this is where the pin is.
Yeah, you can go ahead and go back to that pin.
Find that pin we told you about.
Just you remember that pin from like the first fucking shot of the movie.
So, why does he choose this guy? Because Lou Gossett Jr. wasn't in prison when this guy was fighting. This is the Latino gentleman who was fighting.
Minoso Torres.
He was fighting Randall Cobb.
Yes,
Randall
he was.
Tex Cobb. What's the significance of him fighting this guy?
I think it may have been the fact that he was in good with the warden, so he had connections in the prison. The prison was in Oliver County, so he had access to all the people there. That would be my guess.
And he just...
And I think he was a imprisoned prize fighter.
Gotcha.
Because James Woods points to him and says he's a nasty motherfucker.
Yeah. So now he's gonna have to fight a dude they know nothing about. He hasn't studied his tapes.
Directly preceding this, we had that moment where Honey Roy Palmer had to explain to Gabriel Kane, who Hammerhead Hagen was.
Yeah.
This time, it's the other way around.
Yeah, he's got to explain to him.
He has to explain to Mr. Honey Roy Palmer, that's Minoso Torres.
Yeah.
He's a scary motherfucker that was in prison with me.
He's not a nice person.
Yeah.
So, now they've upped the bet. Now we're, like, James Woods basically goes into the office after the brother is killed. And he's just like, I want...
Yeah, he's slapping that table.
He's slapping the table. Which actually we've done a good job of not slapping today.
It's a bad habit. We're trying to get over it, folks.
We're sitting opposite sides of a bar, and it's very sturdy It's very sturdy.
Yeah, I even mentioned someone whipping out a dick, and I didn't slam my arm on the
Bam! Yeah, easily could have done that.
Easily, for a fact.
But yeah, James Woods is not fucking around.
Yeah.
And he even tells, what's the dude's name? Ponytail? Corsini. He's just like, I need you to cover me for like $500,000. You can fucking kill me as soon as the match is over. And Corsini's like, oh, sounds good.
Okay.
He's basically like, if he loses the match, he's basically paying this dude $500,000 to murder. He's giving Bruce Dern $500,000, then he gets to kill him.
Oh,
like, that's not really that fair.
Yeah. Mr. Corsini has an unreasonable amount of confidence in Mr. Kane.
Yeah.
But, I'll allow it.
Maybe
to quote the great Mills Lane, I'll allow it.
I'll allow it. Do you think that he's just like, I need you to get me a couple of pipe-hitting brothers, and they're going to go to town on him with a blowtorch and a pair of pliers.
I need you to track down a wooden mask. I believe it has the powers of Loki.
Oh my gosh! This is John Voight in Anaconda. This is who he was supposed. This is what he's channeling. This is this guy?
So John Voight was watching Diggstown or The Mask.
And that's where he got the.
I know now what I have to do.
I know now what
He's got the script in his lap. He's like, Sarome from Paraguay.
He's like going through the lines and stuff, like doing his normal John Voight voice, and like Diggstown's in the background.
There's something missing.
That guy with the ponytail's got a lot of screen presence. Oh man. Anyway, so yeah, let's get back. So now he has to fight Torres.
Minoso Torres.
Torres. And here we go.
Now, it's the last fight. 10th fight.
You'll recall Bruce Dern when we were first introduced, when James Woods and Bruce Dern.
When we had our first bet featuring Bruce Dern.
James Dern's. I'm going to apologize, folks. I've been up since 2:30 this morning, and I've worked, and I'm very tired, and I'm probably, as soon as I get home, going to crash, so just bear with me here.
We're in the home stretch.
James Woods, Bruce Dern, when they meet for the first time, Bruce Dern flexes his muscle and shows that he can throw the fight and that he is King Dick of Diggstown.
Yes. He can tell a man to lay down at a whim.
Now, would you like to take it from here?
So, Minoso Torres and Honey Roy Palmer are going at it for real. Palmer is in trouble. He doesn't look happy in there. No. He's had a long 24 hours.
Yes.
Then all of a sudden, James Woods hops up onto the apron and gives a whistle. I would do that, but I actually don't know how. Thank you, Kyle. So he gives a whistle, and Minoso Torres just looks over his shoulder at him. And James Woods, copying the body language, the gestures of Bruce Dern from earlier in the movie, straightens his tie, and
Joaquin Phoenix is it down?
Gives him the Joaquin thumbs down, and Minoso Torres drops his guard, looks at Ray Palmer, and allows himself to be punched on the chin, and he lays down for 10 seconds.
No.
And then we get the exact... It's actually kind of funny because they use the exact same like celebration music like 2 minutes apart.
Yeah, they do.
So we get a repeat celebration. Yeah, and Roy Palmer has like... Lou Gossett Jr. is a very good actor. I mean, even if he couldn't sell the physical aspects of the character too much, just he has a very specific delivery in the way he speaks. That's why he was really good in Enemy Mine as an alien. Oh, the way he... Have you seen that?
No. I already know what your next movie is. So.
Okay, well, that might happen at some point.
Okay.
But he has a very particular way of speaking that's very charismatic.
Gotcha.
So he gives this big celebration. He's super happy. Everyone's super happy. And then we cut to Bruce Dern, and he's just like wide-eyed.
I'm actually shocked that Bruce Dern's character isn't like going down, like clawing. Like,
yeah, no,
this is bullshit. Like,
yeah, no, he's very quiet for a moment. I'll give
him that. I'm like, he accepts defeat. He realizes like, okay, I actually lost.
Yeah, he's just kind of incredulous, and he's still sitting. And he looks James Woods dead in the eyes. He still hasn't blinked. No. And he's like, you beat me fair and square.
Yeah.
And then he gets up.
You beat me.
Yeah, not fair. Not at all.
Not fair at all.
Well, for his standards.
Well, it's kind of like when flags offset in football. It's like you both were fucking up, so the penalty's offset.
Yeah, like, we're all bad here. Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah.
But his march out to the concession stand's pretty brilliant. He is the nastiest prick to everyone that gets close to him.
Everybody.
Everyone gets a piece. It's like one of those situations where it's like you can see someone having a meltdown and you can tell that if you're anywhere near them, it's coming your way.
Yeah.
So you just try to like put your hand over your face and just be like, oh, that's when you like whip out the phone. And it's like, oh, I better take this. He's just screaming at everyone that gets in his path. I think like the first person is just like, it's like, oh, why the long face? You didn't lose everything that you had.
Yeah.
And then someone takes a picture and he snatches the Polaroid and rips it up in front of them. And then he starts yelling at his sheriff buddy.
And sheriff's like, you don't know shit.
Yeah, and all of a sudden all his support systems start like immediately turn their back on him. Like they don't want anything to do with him anymore. And then he gets a hold of the sheriff's gun though.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then his boyfriend's son doesn't take kindly to that, so he actually stops him from shooting whoever's near him.
I think he was just gonna...
I don't know about that. I don't think he had that in him, but he gives his boyfriend's son a slap, and then Honey Roy Palmer shows up and grabs his hand before he can slap him again.
Yeah.
And we get the payoff, or the lack thereof.
Lack thereof is what I like to call it.
Yeah. Like I said, I think it's a good line, but the payoff just does not fit what came before.
Bruce Dern has murdered Heather Graham's brother, Randall Cobb. Mm-hmm. He is hung, again, a very young black man.
Yeah.
The brother of which is just, his payoff is to punch him in the face.
That's it.
No.
Yeah. No, he's going to tear his jaw off and shove it up his ass.
He can get cement galoshes. That's one way he could do it. He could get the bath. Have you seen Dick Tracy?
Oh yeah.
Oh, thank God.
Absolutely. It's on the shelf.
That was on my list. I was like, I don't think he's seen it.
It's on the fucking shelf.
That's what it is. Yeah. I was like,
it's on the Blu-ray.
I don't know if he's seen Dick Tracy. I'm gonna have to rewatch that.
Just skip all the Madonna scenes.
I honestly thought, I'm like, he's gonna get a throat rip. Like, this is prime time for a throat rip. Because this dude could get a throat rip.
A MacGruber throat rip.
Go for the turkey. Yeah, I'm like, this is a perfect time. I might get a throat rip in, and I think that's gonna be you. Yeah, a punch to the. This dude would be murdering him. Like, it would take everybody to pull him off because he just hung his little brother.
Yeah, but instead we get Honey Roy Palmer catching his hand before he slaps the little skinny white kid. Yeah. And then, like I said, I think it's a decent line. But so Roy Palmer looks over his shoulder and Ham's standing there.
Yeah.
He says, like, my hands hurt. You want to take this?
Yeah.
And he's like, you want to take this, brother? And so Ham steps up, and it's funny because like the result of the damage, Ham is easily 250, probably 6'2", 6'3" or something.
He's huge.
He's a big guy.
Yeah.
And he has a stationary target who's very frail, by the way.
Bruce Dern, yeah.
And he bashes him right square on the chin. His face would be just smashed.
Yeah, he was dislocating that jaw.
No, that jaw is going to go out the back of his head.
Imagine if he was just trying to say something right when he got punched.
Oh my God.
Like just completely dislocated.
I mean, Ichi the Killer. Kakihara. Look like that. Like that kind of mouth.
Jeez, yeah.
But yeah, and with a pointy nose like that, like, there's no makeup effects or blood on him, but in real life, there'd be a mess. Anyway, that's Robert Guillaume's punishment. He loses all of his holdings in town, so basically he loses all the property, all his money.
Yeah.
And he gets punched.
He gets punched. That's no.
You know, I'm sure stuff happened after the end of the movie, but it's kind of neat. This movie actually does wrap up very, very nicely.
Very nicely.
Yeah. Immediately after that, we get a shot of just James Woods and Lou Gossett Jr. sitting in an empty arena together. And there was mention earlier in the movie about James Woods failing to motivate Lou Gossett Jr. Mm-hmm. It's actually kind of a funny line there where he can't find the... James Woods having positive affirmations to offer up is not something I think comes naturally to him. No. So at one point when Lou Gossett Jr. is in trouble during one of the fights, like the only thing he can say to him that comes to mind is... It's like, he can't beat you, because you're black.
That's
That's pretty good.
What, that's what you're gonna say? Yeah.
He's like,
Oh, I forgot
what?
about that.
He's like, what the hell does that mean?
I don't know, but it means something.
It's just whatever. That's what I got.
That's what I got. Yeah.
And so Lugasa Jr. closes the film, I think, with the lines like, now you motivate me.
Yeah.
And then we get our sassy saloon piano music and credits.
Yeah, I think this movie was pretty kind of silly. I guess this is the way to put it. It was kind of silly the way it was put together. But I think it would have been much better if it just had left out the race stuff. If it had just been about the betting and the boxing. Oh, Fletch lives. All right, so he's the he did the Bad News Bears.
Yeah, I wanted to point out to you the filmography of this director. Funny enough, his name is Michael Ritchie. You had me watch a Guy Ritchie movie, so they share a common surname.
It's interesting. They were both betting movies too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even realize.
No, this guy doesn't have like a super big legacy or anything, but he made Fletch, which I know is a big hit with your household.
Yeah, Fletch and The Golden Child, which...
The Golden Child, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess his last film was A Simple Wish, which is a fucking disaster. It's a Mara Wilson movie, by the way.
Mara Wilson?
The little girl from Mrs. Yeah,
Matilda?
girl from Mrs. Doubtfire.
Oh. Was that her last movie, I'm guessing?
No, I think Thomas the Tank Engine.
I didn't even know that was a movie.
It came out in like the 2000s.
Wow.
I remember seeing advertisements for it, and I was like, oh, God. It's funny, she's actually done pretty well for herself since then. Not as an actress, but as a person.
Yeah. Anyway, this was a fun movie. It was kind of silly, just the third act.
It's a fun little romp, but you're right. The tone does get a little too dark for its own good.
Yeah.
This is not a movie that's like near and dear to my heart. I just kind of picked it because, I don't know, it's one of those movies that was on like UPN and like TNT all the time.
I gotcha.
So it was just kind of like a comfort film where it's like I can put this on at any time, and if I stick with it for maybe 10 minutes, there'll be boxing in it.
Yeah.
And, my young mind was satisfied with that. It wasn't good boxing, but I just found out today that HBO is dropping boxing from their programming, so
really?
I'll take what I can fucking get.
Jeez.
It's like it's hard out there for a boxing fan. You take what you can get. And yeah, this is not a brilliant film, but I happen to enjoy it. I think the performances are great all around, especially Bruce Dern. Fuck.
Yeah, I could have definitely used some more Oliver Platt.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry I had to bait you with that. Had to tease you with the Platt.
Well, I thought that I had your next movie down, but I think I'm going to switch it up. So I think next week Trevor is going to be catching up on The Three Musketeers 1993. I think that's what's going to have to happen because you teased me with Oliver Platt. This means that I get to rewatch it so I can have my notes and get my plattening on.
The plattening.
Get my plattening on. Yeah.
All right.
Or the other one I was going to say was Green Street Hooligans, but
well, to be determined.
To be determined. It's going to be one of those two.
Until next time.
Until next time.